Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Tonight, we're going to do something a little bit different. I have some web API work that needs to happen. So this is going to be some Velopack backend stuff. Unfortunately, this repo is private, but as one of the founders, I can choose to stream private stuff when you're one of the owners. So you can get away with that kind of stuff. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to be taking a look at that, and I'll explain a little bit more about what that's going to look like in just a moment. But a couple things. First of all, Microsoft Build is coming up May 19th through 22nd. At a minimum, you should register because you get access to all of the cool sessions and everything. It is in Seattle. Tickets are a bit on the spendy side. Not even joking on that. If people would like to be in person, if anybody is going to be in person, I will be there in person. So I confirmed this week that I will be manning one of the booths in the Experts Exchange area underneath the .NET and Dev Tools section. So I'm not entirely clear on where that is because this is going back to the not the new convention center in Seattle, but the older one. So I've never actually been to one there, so I'm not entirely clear what the layout looks like. So hopefully more clarity on that as it gets closer. So I'm sure I'm going to get more information about, where I'm supposed to stand and all kinds of stuff. But I always enjoy it. The expert exchange sessions are pretty much an opportunity for people to come in and have kind of a one-on-one or a one-to-few kind of discussion with people and talking .NET and dev tooling stuff. Like, I absolutely love doing that. And so Microsoft lets me go there and do that more, which is even more awesome. So I always enjoy that. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of stuff on AI agents. MCP is really hot right now. Aspire is cool, and we're going to look at some Aspire tonight. So that'll be even cooler. Okay, next thing, Spokane.net user group. Hey, look, me. I am speaking, I was about to say next month, June 3rd. So it's like 6 weeks away, I think, if I'm doing my math right. This is going to be a very fun talk running through the different C# versions and kind of we'll call it the highlights reel, kind of like if you were to read a history book, how you generally, you get the big events throughout, different areas of history. This is going to be that, only for C#. I think a lot of it, because it's been around so long, there's actually the concept of ancient history with C#. I mean, ancient, and we're talking, decades, not hundreds of years or thousands or whatever. But in this case, for a programming language, that's ancient. So kind of going through the history of where we started, kind of explaining how we got some of the features that we did based upon how things go, because C# wasn't just hatched overnight. It took years and years to get to where we're at now. So this is going to be a fun one. I am thoroughly going to enjoy this. So if you want, regardless of where you're at, whether you're new to C# or somewhat experienced, I'm hoping there's going to be something there mildly new to everybody. At a bare minimum, coming away with kind of a clear understanding of some of the features and the why behind all of it, I think is the big goal I have here. And more importantly, it's going to be fun to show off some cool C# stuff. Yeah, and I intend to go all the way to C# 14. So for those people confused, that's the version that releases in November. Now, there are preview bits and kind of hints, and the C# lang is kind of showing the direction that they're going. So some of that may end up being, pseudocode bits, or like I may have to pull like a nightly build of the .NET or something. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. We'll see how far we can get into that. But I was going to cover all the way back from the beginning, all the way to theoretically the future, because June comes before November. So that will be exciting. Okay. So let's go. That's the wrong Visual Studio. That's what we were working on last time. Let's not look at that one. Let's not look at that one either. Hang on one second. There we go. This is what I want. Yeah, payment processing, but this is not what we're going to look at. Okay. So what we're actually going to look at. There we go. Okay, so couple things. So I know I've shown this solution off a handful of times, but I feel the urge to show it off more. So this is .NET Aspire. So for people who haven't seen it, And I got to find a good tab to show this. We'll go here. Let's see. .NET Aspire. So for people who haven't seen, oh, not that. Just want the Aspire docs. Yeah, there. Just something simple. Just something simple. So people who haven't seen .NET Aspire before, this brings together a lot of different concepts. Like some of Aspire is not new. Like but it brings a lot of orchestration together that previously you kind of had to glue together yourself, and it wasn't always easy to make happen. There are a number of key things that go on here, and I am not leveraging all of Aspire. Aspire will go as far as to actually like build out your infrastructure in Azure for you, or insert other cloud here. I don't know. I know that they've been working on different things. I think at present it just builds out infrastructure as ARM, but I am not trusting. And I like to darn it write my own Terraform myself. So my infrastructure is done in Terraform in a separate repo, and I just tell Aspire, no, you don't get to do that part. As much as I love you not for that. So, but it does give this dev time orchestration, and this is really, really key. Like this is the sweet spot in my opinion, because normally when you've got kind of this, I don't want to say microservices, polyglot type infrastructure, you have to stand up a lot of stuff locally to be able to get up and running. You'll note I've got this fancy little icon. It's got a little purple triangle here for the Aspire logo. And it's an app host. And you'll note this is my startup project. And I will likely never change off of this as my startup project. And if we look at its program CS, it is not fancy. It has a, I'm going to leave this guy visible for a second. It's using top level statements, so implicit mains. And it's got this distributed application, create a builder. And you'll note in all of this stuff, I'm just kind of tacking together all of the bits of the back end for Velopack, right? So this is our backend SaaS service that we've been working on. And so I've got storage stuff, I've got blob stuff, I've got queues stuff. I run Azure Write inside of a container to be able to have something that simulates an Azure storage account locally inside of Docker, which is great. I spin up a SQL server also in Docker, and you'll note this with lifetime persistent. I'll come back to that in a moment. It adds in a database, and then more importantly, for each of my services, I just tell it which things it needs, right? My API service is going to need pretty much, the backend blobs, it needs queues, it needs the database. But this new partner API and this admin API that we're looking at, they're only going to need access to the database themselves. This is glorious, because what this ends up doing, launch and show this. This is just awesome. And I am spilling Mountain Dew. That's not a good sign. That is not a good sign if you're spilling Mountain Dew this early. Okay, bippity boppity booyah. Come on. Launch. Do the thing. It does take a quick hot minute to launch because, it's got to do a few things. But aside from this unhandled exception occurred, what was that? Collection was modified. Huh. That's interesting. Okay, so you'll note this guy is fired up, and I now have a list of all of my resources. I can see my SQL server is apparently running but unhealthy, which means I probably need to look at my Docker container and figure out what the heck. Right? Worst case scenario, I just torch the container and call it a day. That's the beautiful thing about this. And you'll note it did come up and start running. My payment updater finished, but it had 3 errors in the logs. Great. I'm going to ignore that for now because I'm fairly confident it's the fact that I don't have an updated key in my user secrets. And that's not something I want to fix on stream, so I'll do that later. Plus, I don't care. But you'll note SQL Server, database, I've got my storage, it's got blobs and queues under it, and then I've got a whole bunch of services and things running. I even have just a straight CLI executable here. Right? This is running the Stripe CLI because we use Stripe for payments. And it's just like it's built up the invocation and launched that. And if I want, I can just drop right in and boom, right? Don't worry, that's not a real secret, in case you were worried. So this guy is fired up. We are off and running. We've got the admin API, which is what the admin and partner API are the things I want to work on. But I've also got these. You can see I've got hyperlinks out to go and look at these. I can see the console logs if I want. If I want to get structured logs, I can actually dive in here and get full on infrastructure level logging. Oh, it looks like the errors that it flagged were likely because I have 2 local databases and they have different GUIDs for their teams in them. What a shock! But we can actually dive in and take a look at these traces, and we can actually see a full trace of how long various things ended up taking, which is just glorious. So you get structured logs and trace viewing through everything. You can pick which service you're interested in taking a look at. Let's see. Console logs you can pull from any of the things. I'm only feeding structured logs from my services because I don't think the other ones, I don't know how to configure them for structured logging, frankly. But yeah, all of those set up. I've got metrics if I want to go through and figure out, oh, okay, let's figure out, how many open connections are running. Whoop, 1, which I'm going to go with is probably my Aspire host. But you can pull back all of this kind of like Prometheus level metric stuff, which is just glory. Like you get all of this with Aspire, which is, again, you can plug all these bits together if you want. Aside from this pretty dashboard, I don't know that any of this stuff was unattainable before. You had to build all that glue yourself, which sucked, right? Nobody wants to do this. The other cool thing, you can just arbitrarily stop stuff if you want, which is, I think, a newer feature of this dashboard. But yeah, or restart one of these, which is kind of cool because before I always just come in and restart the entire app host. But now if you want to pick on individual resources, you can get those guys going too, which is very, very slick. And all of this from being able to build these up. Oh, I wanted to show off the admin API, right? So if I just click on this row here, you'll see that I've got all of this stuff set up and it's got ports and whatnot exposed. But you'll note down here, because I said with reference database, I have a connection string for my database, right? Like this is very slick. And yes, you're about to see a username and password. I'm not worried. This is local only. You'd have to have access to my Docker instance. And if you have access to that, that's a different thing. Plus it's going to cycle every time I reboot my container. But you'll note when it spun that SQL Server Docker image, it dealt with the issue of being able to go through, figure out what the connection string needed to look like, and then promptly injected that into everywhere that I said reference my database. Right? Again, this is things you can do yourself, but spinning up a SQL server inside of Docker for you, pulling out the connection string, setting that as an environment variable as the startup for all these other projects, knowing the dependency between them and then launching all of them, like you can do all that. Like that's not, like people have built that kind of stuff already. And they've got multi-project startups and scripts and various things. It's like, great. But I pressed F5, which is pretty slick. Absolutely slick in my opinion. So, and then it builds up all of this stuff, and you can see I've got a little kind of hacky thing going on here because my front end code lives in a separate repository. So I just go, you know what? If that repository is checked out kind of alongside me, let's use it. NPM app, off to the races, away we go. Done. Right? So it's a little hacky because, if the repository isn't checked out, I won't get a front end in my thing. Not a big deal, right? That's at some point I might try to do it because there's Aspire definitely pushes you a little bit towards a mono repo, right? And there's a big debate, mono repo, poly repo, where should things live? How should they be structured? Yada, yada, yada. Like you can do this any number of ways. This is the way I chose to do it. Okay, so admin and partner API. So what is going on here? So Velopack, backend SaaS service, we want to be able to effectively build out and sell this hosting solution for people who are building your installers with Velopack. The SDK and the tooling that's out in the open source repo, it gets you far enough to where it's got your app package, you got your installers, it's got some upload commands to send it somewhere, but that's kind of where it goes hands off. Basically, it points you in the right direction of where you need to go to upload stuff, and then says, you know what, all that hosting stuff, that's on you. I'm not like I'm not helping you. Partly because that's kind of complicated to do without some level of ownership. So it's like we put the tools in the hands and then kind of back off. But for people who kind of want a full solution, an end-to-end thing, it's like, well, you helped me get my installer, like now send it to my users, please, right? That's where our SaaS comes in. That's where we are looking to have a free. There's going to be, I think, 3 tiers when we launch: free, dev, and pro. Pricing and stuff TBD. But we have some people looking to potentially partner with us, and as part of that, we wanted to have the partners be able to effectively generate coupon codes, right? So that when people buy stuff from the partner can offer them and say, hey, you know, we've got this, making up numbers here, right? 40% off coupon for Velopack if you'd like to go and use them, right? That way, they've got something nice to offer their customers. We get people in the door for us. Huzzah, everyone's happy, right? Maybe it's a free 6 months, whatever, right? Details TBD. But what that means is I need partners able to generate coupons that will work on mine. Preferably, and this is where things are going to get, let me see if I can find my tab. So this is where things are going to get a little bit interesting. So Stripe API promotion code. So we're going to do a little rundown on how Stripe works. So Stripe has coupons, right? And the coupon object, and take all of the sample object stuff on the right with a grain of salt, as I've learned with Stripe's documentation. It's like 95% there. And that other 5% really messes with me when it's wrong. Kind of annoying. And you'll note I am in a test environment here. So this is not the production one. No one panic. So the coupon itself defines effectively the discount, what it applies to, you know, percent off, all of that kind of stuff, right? So the coupon defines the amount, where it goes to, but then the promotion code is what actually gets shared for what you might enter, right? It's one of these types of codes here, right? And valid characters are lowercase, uppercase, and digits. That's all you're allowed to do. And you can kind of make up whatever you want to be. The only restriction is these things must be unique across all active promotion codes. So once you make one of these things, you can't duplicate it without running into it. And I think the intent of what I would like to do is I would like to have my admin portal create the coupon, generate an API key that the partner can use. The partner can call the partner API to get back a coupon code that they can then hand to their customers. That's what I think I want. Right? That way there's some level of control in that I'm the one setting up the coupon. I know who I'm handing out that API key to. I can authenticate the requests that come in from it. And if there's a discussion that needs to have of, oh, well, we would like the coupon to be, different amount or whatever, great, fine. We can have those discussions, right? But then they can generate the promotion code, because the thing that gets me is because the people they're handing this to may not have Velopack accounts, I can't tie it to anything in my system immediately, right? I've got nothing. As far as I'm concerned, the user doesn't exist. So all I can do is hand them this promotion code with potentially like some number of redemptions that it could be redeemed on, some expiration or similar, and we can, negotiate what those things should be at. Obviously, it should probably come back as active to make sure that it's good to go. But then being able to hand that back so that they can then include it in whatever manner makes sense to hand to their customers, to say, here you go, here's a wonderful, coupon code that we generated, yada, 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 right? And then if there's ever a problem, something gets compromised, I can just either cycle the coupon, I can cycle the key, whatever, and everything just works. That's what I think I want to build. That's the game plan of what I have started on. Now, obviously, there is multiple levels of auth that need to go on here. And so inside of my Velopack stuff, I have spun multiple projects. So I have no fewer than 3 web API projects at the moment. So the API service is kind of the main service one that does most of the stuff around Velopack flow. It's for the consumers, right? It supports the front end website. That's where you upload your releases. It backs the website showing you your channels, your release groups, all of that kind of interesting stuff, right? That's fine. So that's fine. That lives there. It gets to be fat, dumb, and happy, right? But then I have the admin API, which I want to. So the API service is using MCell and Azure B2C to authenticate users, right? That way you can log in with your Microsoft account, your GitHub, your Google, right? Those types of things. The admin API, I don't want to work that way. I want it to auth based upon a security group in our AD, because the only people that should be hitting the admin API are functionally people who work for Velopack. That should be about it. And really, the admin API, all it's going to have is the stuff to be able to create those partners. And I say create partner, but it's really creating a key that a partner can use to access a coupon. And thank you for the follow, friends. I appreciate it. And then the partner API is obviously then for the partner to call to generate one of these suckers, right? That's where we're going. Okay. So on my database, because I've already started this branch, so I'm off powwowing. So we'll make this bigger. I've got some basic projects and a little bit of stuff stubbed in. That's as far as I've gotten, just to be clear. This is not working yet. But we'll go through here and show. So I've got this partner coupon code that I'm going to have in the database, right? There's an API key, which I think we're just going to basically do HMAC authentication all the way through. I think that makes it easiest, right? I think. So we're going to roll with it until I have a reason not to. There is going to be a name because, I need to attach something useful. And then there will be a Stripe coupon ID because all IDs from Stripe are in there, right? And so that's in my DB context. I've generated a migration that sets up the table, and that's as far as this data project goes. I thought about splitting this up and going, well, maybe I should have a separate DB context and split these out because these technically don't need to be tied to the other one. And then I realized, Yagni. Don't do it till you have a reason to, right? Like I don't anticipate this API getting flooded. Specifically, it shouldn't get flooded more than my public-facing one. That should be the lion's share of the traffic. So it's like, no, I'm not gonna spin a whole separate database with different replicas and that kind of thing. It's like not till I need it. So I put it all here. I may need to break it later, but for now, it's all going together. And then just for kind of some reference here, there's this Velopack service core. And for anybody who spins up an Azure project, they create, what is it, service common, I think is what they call it. I renamed it. But one of the key things that they have is this service collection extensions, where it's just a shared place to do all your DIE stuff, right? So it maps some health checks and set those up. Huzzah, all of that works. Right? There's a bunch of service defaults for building these things up. Huzzah, all of that works, right? I've got my top level thing for just adding in all of my Velopack services. This to-do comment is actually supposed to be here. I don't know that there's actually a cleaner way to do this, given order of operations, but you know what? I'm going to leave the to-do there for now anyway. So there's that. Okay, so let's back up. And let's take a look at admin API. And I think we are fired up and running right now, aren't we? Too many tabs. Okay. So admin API, I click here. Oh, this is one other thing that's worth noting. You'll note these links here. These are entirely powered by I shouldn't say entirely powered. By default, that's a better way of saying it. By default, these are just your launch settings.json. Right? Yeah, so there's your launch URL, and how it picked up Swagger was the fact that this is what it would launch if I were to run with F5 in my launch settings. So Aspire's gone, oh, those are the default settings that you want. Let me just go ahead and wire those up for you. Again, mwah, love it. So it gets us into here. We can authorize. I can authorize. Huzzah. Great, right? And I come in here. This is the weather forecast. I hit execute. Boom. I got a 200. We're cruising. Okay. So mild amount of auth without any real checking, but I have auth on the admin service. And we've got the default weather forecast, which is your ASP.NET Core out of the box doohickey stuff. Great. Okay, so admin API, we need to go through and build out an API endpoint that can spin a partner, and it needs to take in I think a string for the name of the partner and a string for the Stripe coupon code. At some point, we may do some validation of it. We'll see. We'll see. Because I'd like to see all of that work. And I think, yeah, because I saw my other service work, my user secrets should be set up for Stripe already. So I should be good to go. Should be good to go. One other thing that I have done that I very much love. So I have a directory build props file. And where is it? This is one of the things that you'll see if you look at my .NET templates repo. I enjoy putting my user secrets in my directory build props. Now, it is worth noting what this does. This makes the sweeping assumption that I want to share a single user secrets file with all of my projects. This may not be true for everybody, because you might have, two different things that you're like, oh, shoot, I need an Azure AD section, but I need them different between these two services. If that's the case, this is not the solution for you. Just want to be clear. It may not work for everybody, but it works really well, because the number of times I get annoyed of having to copy user secrets from project A to project B to project C, it's because if you just use the built-in Visual Studio tooling, it'll generate you a separate GUID for every project. Pro tip. You can copy and paste the GUID around, right? Like you could have, like if you were to put this user secrets ID in 3 different projects, all 3 of those projects will share the same user secrets file. So if there is reasonable sharing that could happen between them, go ahead and do it. Like the user secrets are local user secrets. These aren't like shared out on the environments or whatever. So don't copy and paste between user secrets files. Like just share them together where it makes sense. So that is a lovely way of handling it. Okay, boom. So the other thing that I have done is I have kind of structured a handful of my APIs in the following way, of kind of top level groupings like what you might see in Swagger. So if we look at the API here, right, for my public facing API, you can see I've got API keys, I've got auth, I've got payments, projects, releases, teams, users, right? That's kind of my top level thing. And you'll note I'm versioning my APIs. Now I don't have an APIM sitting in front of this or any of that nature yet, right? Again, this is one of those I had to go yagni, stand it up once you have a justification for needing it. For now, we're just doing versioning within the API itself. For now, it works just fine. I don't have an issue. I may have an issue in the future, and I will address it then. So for the admin API, we are going to go with, I think partners let's leave it running though. Let's detach. That way it doesn't kill it. Okay, so let's call it partner, right? And inside of each of these, I've kind of done this thing where I put an extension which does the mapping of the endpoints, and then the V1 to be able to go through and handle this. It's just kind of the structure that I decided that I liked. And so I am going to continue it because you know what? It worked well the first time. So we're going to keep going with that. Partner extensions. Great. And this is going to end up being a static class because we're going to do this sort of thingy mabobber here. And then we're going to kind of just grab this and bring it in here. And so map. I am also using minimal APIs. Part of this project was I was like, you know what? Minimal APIs look cool. I want to try them. So I did. Let's see. Partners. And then, so this is going to be trying to decide if I want it, if this should be pluralized or not. I don't think so. We're going to go with this. Okay. Make sure they all require auth. And then the question becomes, I probably want to a list. I probably want to get. I probably want to create. I don't know if I want an update. I think we're going to end up with just a delete. I suppose there might be an argument for an update for like the name. Yeah, we'll leave an update in there. And then the rest of these I don't think are going to matter for me. We're just going to whack all those. Okay. Okay, so now we need inside of here, we're going to go add new folder. We're going to do a v1, and we're going to do, what did I call the ones down here? Just methods? Yeah, so it's going to be partner methods inside of here. Add new class, partner methods. And this becomes a static class. And then everywhere I have this, we're going to go here. We're going to go with methods. Let's see, let's replace all in here. It's Control A, Alt A. That's why it wasn't working. Okay, thank you. And then we go here. We go bring that sucker in. Get rid of you. There we go. Okay, so list partners. Get partner. Create partner. Update partner. And then delete partner. There we go. Huzzah, huzzah, huzzah. And then I need my routes. My routes. Where did I put these? I'm trying to remember. Oh, right at the bloody bottom. Yeah, so I just want that part of it. And then I would like team routes to become, let's see, this is going to be partner routes. There we go. That updates all of those. And then everywhere I have the word team, we're going to replace with the word partner. Probably could have done that at the beginning and saved myself some effort. That's going to get me pretty darn close to what I want. So aside from the fact that none of these things work, and we might have to refactor some stuff, but that's okay. That is okay. That is what we do. Okay, gen. Going to gen all of these things up. We're going to have to look at some of those methods that are not resolving are extensions and things that I've built. So we may have to move things in. I've got a shared library where that all of these projects are referencing that we can pull those into. And let's just verify that I have it referenced. This guy is referencing none of my projects. So let's fix that real quick. Because service core is absolutely something we want to reference. Because that's where the shared stuff's going to go. Okay, so partner ID. I just want these lowercased. I know my find and replace did that to me, so I'm going to just clean that up. Okay, and then we're going to just go into here and let's take a look at acquire team member. What's this extension here doing? This is adding a policy, and I don't think I'm gonna need that here. Nope, that's the wrong one. I don't need that here because authorization is going to be, if you can authorize against this service, you're going to be good to go. I think is the way this is going to work. Let's see, let's make you public. Public. It doesn't really matter for the purposes of testing because the way we're going to test this is more from a functional standpoint. I use a web application factory to stand up an in-memory instance of the service so that it can test the full middleware. Because if you just invoke like your minimal API methods directly, or you invoke your controller methods if you're going that route with your ASP.NET Core, um, like that's fine for testing the code within the method, but you've skipped all of that middleware and routing and stuff that leads to a request making it to that method. Whereas if you stand up a web application factory, you can validate things like routing is set up the way you expect. More importantly, the tests then serve as a really nice place to show off uh, what the capabilities of your methods are. What are you? Oh, there's an update. I have to have it. Yesterday at 11:04. You can tell I haven't been on this machine since yesterday at 11:04. Because I would have definitely installed that update if I had seen it then. I'll leave the bell. I'll grab it later. Okay, so we need the what namespace was I putting my request classes in? Are these all off in the models? Yeah. We're gonna go here, and I'm gonna do the same kind of pattern. And I've been versioning these models, which are effectively the POCO request responses. With the intent that if I need to change something, because once this goes live, I've got snapshot tests around my Swagger Open API spec, so that there should be no breaking API changes that I am unaware of. Like, you have to explicitly make a change to that test in order for it to go through. It's a very obnoxious test and annoys the living daylights out of me. But that is okay, because that is exactly what we want, right? Is I want to be annoyed. Partner CS. Yeah, we're gonna go here, and then we're gonna just boom, create. Stop it. Stop it. Create partner request. I do need component models here. So, because that'll get that working. And then this should resolve. Great. And then I need my validate function. This might need to move, because this lives up in, oh, yep, it lives up in my validation layer, which is wonderful, except that I can't then reference it in my other service where I want it. But I don't want to move the whole file, because some of these things are very explicit about what I want. Yeah, I think what we're going to do is we are going to just move the bit that we care about. Let's go down to service core, and let's give me a validation namespace. Don't know what I clicked. Oh, NuGet. Nope, not what we need here. Add folder, validation. I'm going to go here, here, here. Stop it. Stop helping me. Thank you. Go compact view. I'm getting annoyed with this. Validation extensions. And then I need this lovely little guy. Come here. This is probably going to break a handful of things. Public static. And that's also why you won't see explicit unit tests on some of these methods, because I'm validating it by hitting the API inside of an in-memory instance. It makes it so much easier for me to ensure that all of these things just work. Let's see, get validation errors. I think that's in here. I think I saw it at the end. Yep. Put you here. There we go. That goes like that. That goes like that. Everyone's happy. Yeah. Try validate object. Just wants a collection that it can add to. Great, 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 great. Okay, now the big question. How many things failed to compile? Eyesore, thank you very much. I appreciate the gifted sub. And I'm sure Vic also appreciates it as well. Good to have you here. We're gonna attempt to do some of this doohickey. Let's see here. So this is going to be no. So you're just not finding it. Using Velopack, service core, validation. Boom. Done. I have a strange feeling I'm gonna have to add this line in a number of places. Yeah, it's gonna be a little bit annoying. Let's see. Velopack admin API. I kind of want to change the grouping here. Where is my grouping? Grouping. There we go. Group by project. Thank you. Ooh. Yeah. So these are all the ones that I'm gonna need to add this into. There are going to be a number of them. Project, release channel, because a good chunk of my stuff has that same bit in there. Let's see, user extensions. Some of them, that validate call is, I think, the most used one. Oh, is that the only bit that's biting me? Okay. Let's see here. Oh, I got a couple more. Apparently, I just can't read. Let's see. These group extensions. Thank you. Yeah, I know I can switch to this style. So pro tip, if you hover your mouse over the tabs, mouse wheel down expands them so you can see the multiple rows. Mouse wheel up collapses them so you have more vertical space and you get this little doohickey up here where you can expand out and see all of them. For some of my colleagues, this list extends off the bottom of the monitor. For those of you in the chat, you know who you are. And I don't know how they can stand it. They're the same type of people who are okay with having hundreds of browser tabs open. I open hundreds of browser windows. We are not the same. Okay. Partner extensions. Oh, this is the, I can't read. That's admin API, admin API, admin API, admin API. Okay. Okay, we are good now. Well, we're at least good enough there. So create partner request. The create partner request is actually going to need more than a name because I'm going to end up needing the Stripe coupon ID. We're going to need that as well. Okay, so that gets me to there. What is your problem with this? Interesting. I wonder if this is I don't think we need this. So we may, let's see, we're not going to require ownership for delete. Again, if you can authenticate against this API, you're an admin, so the jig is up at that point. Which is why we're just going to lock it down with the security group and AD and call it a day. Because if you get into the security group, you deserve to be an admin, and we'll just, not let bad people into the security group. Okay, so require partner member, and then we need update partner request. So this is going to be, I think update partner request is going to just, let's see, it's going to require the ID and then the name to update. ProCorp, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Okay, so if we go here, lost my place. Update team request. So this is not gonna quite work for the way. Love hearing your thought process. Oh, good to hear. I will say that is one of the weird things that streaming has. I don't know if for better or worse. It like I talk out loud when I code. And anybody who needs to hear the phrase, I don't know who needs to know this. Rubber duck debugging.com. Oh, what is it? Oh, you have to spell duck with a U. For anyone who needs it, for anyone who's like, oh, that sounds so weird to talk out loud about your code, this is a safe way to do it. You can talk to a duck instead. Uh, at my day job, I literally have a large rubber duck sitting on my desk, and it is wonderful. And talking out loud, it's remarkable how many times that solves your problem, right? Just literally take your hands off the keyboard and just describe the problem out loud. Some people do it and they do it in a more socially acceptable way where they like walk up to a whiteboard and they like grab a pen and they hold it in their hand and they spend the whole time talking without actually writing on the whiteboard. And so it feels more socially acceptable to do that. Some people prefer their ducks to be humans, but the person they're talking to doesn't actually even need to respond. They just want to explain it. Works wonderful. Works wonderful. So when in doubt, find yourself a duck. Let's see. I need to know. I think we're gonna go GUID ID, and then I think we're gonna go string name because I don't think there's anything. I think if I needed to update anything other than the name on a partner, I would just delete and create a new one because at that point it might as well be a new one. Like I don't think I want to do a lot of editing of like the data inside of it because even though I've called these things partners, and maybe I shouldn't call them partners, they're really partner coupons or partner promo codes. Maybe we should call it that. That's probably a better. Uh, oh, awesome! Yeah, no, that is perfect, and you will learn that I am not perfect, and I will absolutely make mistakes. Yeah, we're gonna call it partner promotion code. I think that it's long and wordy, but I'm the only one who has to look at the long wordy name. So we're gonna go with that. Because if we have other partner functions, they'll be a little different. So we might actually go back up here and I think we're gonna do. I think I'm gonna just prefix it with promotion code. That way I can v1 promotion code. That way, if there's other partner functions that I come up with later in life, like I can nest them elsewhere. That makes me feel a little better. Okay, so this needs to be create partner promotion code request, and this needs to be update partner promotion code request. Partner ID is a GUID. This needs to be partner ID. Oh, that's why my other one didn't need it. So my body doesn't need the ID because it'll come in as part of the route. That's okay. That'll work. Okay. And so this guy here needs to be changed. Wait, Vey. No, 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 no. That is not how we want to structure this. That is not how we want to structure this. Okay, what is your problem? Validate. Why can you not find validate? We added it to the service core, and we put it underneath the validation namespace. Route handler, validate, route handler, builder. So why are you not finding it? Just comment you out for a second. I got too many errors. Let's get it down to a simple number of errors and then work from there. Okay, everything compiles. Bring one in. Velopack service core validation with name endpoint convention builder. Did I overly restrict this? That's pretty open-ended there. So what am I doing wrong here with my own code? Validate. Ensure has valid nullability. I've got, let me just check the namespace then. So Velopack, service core, validation, validation extensions, validate. I mean, that's pretty much what we're going for here. Let's check the type for the extension method. So if we go here and do use explicit type, and I go foo.validate. Oh, it's an I endpoint convention builder. How have I subtly changed types? Because this guy here is a route handler builder. Let me go look at my other one. What did I do differently on this one? Oh, because the other ones, the other places, no, this one here. Validate. Map post. Route group builder. Okay, I'm going to move this guy to the side. I need to keep him up. I have done something different between these two. Okay, so this needs to be renamed. Partner. This maps groups route group builder has version route group builder requires authorization. This is a route group builder. Yeah, so then map get endpoint convention builder. Oh, it's this guy that's landing on. Oh, that's dirty. That's dirty. Okay, so I'll show you what I see. All right, so this is one of the best / worst things of minimal APIs is there's enough kind of weird convention-y stuff around this that it's not always obvious. Okay, so I'm just gonna collapse some of this up and clean up the debugging that I did, and then we'll walk through this. So on the right, we'll pick on like the list one, right? Because this is as simple as it gets, right? When I hover over map get, you'll note something here, right? The return type here is route handler builder, right? Endpoint route builder map get delegate handler, right? If we come over here and hover on it, you'll note we've landed on a different overload, right? And you'll note specifically, this is a request delegate. This is the overload that's different, right? So that's what's biting me. And the reason it's biting me is because if we go over and look at this guy was declared something like this, which is fine, right? If we were to look at, and I think if I F12 on here, I can get to it, right? If I come in here and take a look at this, if I look at a request delegate is a delegate type that is task returning and takes in a single HTTP context. When I told the IDE and I was just, control period, generate me a method. Well, unfortunately, it looked at this and went, well, all I see is map get. I don't know which of the overloads you want. I'm just going to pick what I presume to be the first one, which was the request delegate, and I'm going to generate you something that matches that, right? So if we come here, right, and I change specifically this one up, right? So this is request delegate syntax. If I do this, magically it now works, right? Deleting the HTTP context out of the parameter set now means that I resolve to a different overload, specifically one that is a delegate type overload, right? That didn't grab well, right? Delegate type overload, which returns a route handler builder, which now works, right? So the short version is I trusted too much in the IDE, and it hosed me. And we really don't need the HTTP context in any of these things, so we're just not going to use it anywhere. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. This should now update. Boom. We now land on the appropriate overload. Off to the races. Huzzah. Right? Overload resolution, if you do like minimal APIs where there's a lot of this method group kind of function mapping stuff, it's a good idea to pay it very, very close attention, because oftentimes with delegates and method groups, the compiler has to infer which overload you're doing based on the parameters. And that's not always, like, you'll note, I didn't change any lines of code here. So even though the red squiggle was here, the fix was somewhere else. So it's one of those things that you just have to be very diligent about. Okay, now we go here. Now we go here, and I'm going to close some of these things up. I've got too much open. See, I cannot tolerate those things. And I'm going to just take this guy, and I'm going to put him off to the side. And we're going to need a couple of things. So with minimal APIs, let's see. I do not like the order it put these things in. I like these methods to be in the order in which they existed. So with minimal APIs, you can actually do strongly typed response codes like this. Like there's an OK, a not found, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we'll get down to doing multiple, like there's a results class for when an API might return multiple different response codes. Right? So you can kind of, in this case, it's going to return an OK or a not found. Whereas a list endpoint, it's just going to return an OK. And this is from this method itself, right? There's middleware higher up that's doing auth and other things. So like 401s and those types of things are still possible earlier in the food chain. But at this point, once we're auth, we're in, we've got a user, right? And we're doing this work, listing the stuff, there's really just the one. Right? So we're going to end up in a similar situation here. And we're going to need a list. And I think we're going to change the name of this method because we changed. I'm kind of thinking that what we're going to do is because I added promotion codes here, I think I'm going to rename this to partner promotion code methods. Just, would you also like to rename? Yes, I would. Thank you. That way it's a little more clear, right? Again, this extension may shell out to different classes, but for now, this is where the promotion codes go. And, I may break out partner into its own group and blah, blah, blah. We'll deal with that in a minute. Because we may nest this stuff in a little bit, but we want to stay consistent. Okay. But for my models, I need a list response. I'm going to just go down here and blatantly steal from my thingamabobber, because this is here. I'm going to do something like this. Let's see. Partner promotion code list response. Trying to decide what we return back here, because the other one here, right, we're returning a team, or it's going to be something like this. Like we can start here, but this is vastly off, right? So it probably should be a partner promotion code is the appropriate type. It's going to have an ID. It's going to have a name. But now the question is, I think I can return the Stripe coupon code as part of it. There's nothing overly secret about that. Having that doesn't get you anything. But I think for the API code, I don't want that in the list response. In fact, we may only want to return it when we create it. We do something similar for the API keys when we generate them, is you don't get them back. You get them once, and that's it. After that, they're locked away in the database, and your choice is delete and recreate. I think we're going to follow a similar pattern here. I think that makes a lot of sense. Let's see here. And I think we slap an S on that and call it a day. Great. That gets me to there. That gets me to there. So we go here. List. What did I just call that thing? Oh, partner promotion codes list response. Got it. All right, so you gotta name it properly. Okay. There's that, and then we are going to need a Velopack context. I think I just have been calling this context elsewhere. And this is where we're going to need to pull it back out. So this is actually going to be very similar to the Teams one, and we can get away with some. Oh, let's not look at Teams. Let's look at the API key ones. I think those ones might be a slightly better. Let's create. Yeah, because I think we can get away with just effectively doing the same thing. Don't care. Don't care. There we go. Okay, so this is going to be partner coupon codes. We don't care about this. This is going to be a Partner promotion code. Oh, ooh, we're gonna have to rename the D. That's gonna be fun. We'll do that with do with that in a minute. And then I do want a cancellation token. Because I'd like to be able to cancel this. And then we've got ID, name, and then it's going to be x.stripe coupon ID. All right. See, the other one was a constructor. This one was named. I guess it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really make a big difference one way or another. Do that. Because EF core is okay with this for their projection, the select method here. And then this is going to require including the entity framework core. This is pulling out an array. Partner promotion list response. And then this becomes partner promotion codes. We rename this partner promotion codes. Because this really is going to dump everything. Is there a benefit to soft delete versus hard delete? I don't think so. I don't think I have a reason to save for soft delete. So we are literally going to be dumping all the records out of this table. But this table is going to be small. So just to be clear, generally hitting a DB set and just blindly pulling everything out into an array, this is a recipe for disaster. Do not do this on any table that might grow, right? In this case, this is going to be a small one, so I'm not going to worry about it. Yagni. Not until I need it. And so for now, that gets me there. Great. Okay, next we need the create method. I think that was right here. Create API key request. So we're going to do effectively the same thing here. Create partner promotion code request. At some point, I have grand dreams of building myself. Oh, I've already got one. Of building myself a source generator, because a lot of these things are. They're very, very, like, there's a very clear cut pattern here. It's actually. Gotta be careful how I phrase this. So there's a cool thing my company builds. So if anybody is interested, this thing called Coalesce. So for anybody who does ASP.NET, so this is ASP.NET Web API backend, so C# with Vue 3 front end. Right. So if that sounds like you, this thing is pretty freaking sweet. Effectively, it like where I'm kind of building out these middle tier layers of doing it, it will generate everything from your it takes your DB context and its models as its input, and it will generate you the controllers and everything all the way out to the front end and give you like refresh stuff. So it lets you build a lot of this stuff very, very quickly. And then you have to basically decorate your EF models with annotations or methods or similar for when you want to do custom stuff. But functionally, it lets you either focus on the back end and how and do the data modeling and figure out the relationships there, or the front end of making it pretty, figuring out the UI UX, and not stressing too much about the middle stuff in between. So if that sounds cool to you, check it out. There's a pretty slick site for it too, for anybody who wants it. I also have a video on my YouTube where I sit down with Grant and Andrew, I have creators, founders. There's been a number of people that have worked on it over the years, but those two I think are generally considered the big brains on it. Okay, so I want this as my input to create quest, and we're just going to take a quick look here. And then I'm going to need, probably going to need both of these. And this is where we're going to end up having to do a little bit of fun stuff, because I want to gen this not too unlike how I did I'm leaving the time provider for the clock in here, because I know I'm going to need it very similar, because this is going to be not too unlike how we gen the API keys, except for, this won't be an API key. So this is going to be a partner coupon code. Oh man, I just want to rename it. I'm going to do it right now. Partner promotion code. Well, is coupon code right? Because in the database, it's not the promotion code itself. It's not actually that. It's going to end up being a coupon code might be right, because this is going to be the information about the coupon that's used to generate the promotion code. Yeah, I think we're gonna go with. I think coupon code's gonna be fine. We're gonna go with that. Let's see. Coupon code, and then we're gonna need. Hey, Eris, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Let's see. So we're gonna go with request name, because that's just gonna be an arbitrary string where you can like list the partner or the promo or something about the coupon or whatever. And then this is where we're going to need to separate some stuff. Is I want some of this API key stuff, but I want it, but I don't like, I need it out of this thingy bobber. We're not setting expiration dates on these. That's another key difference here, and we're not linking them out. And then this is going to be the Stripe coupon ID. Request Stripe coupon ID. Okay, so this is going to get me to here, and this is going to get me to partner coupon codes. We might just go fix the database here in a second, because this is gonna bother me having this called. Well, if this makes sense for partner coupon code, this also makes sense for partner coupon code. Never mind, we're not going to change it. It's going to be great. It's going to be perfectly great. Okay, and then this is the details to route to somewhere else. We can't. Oh, that's the wrong button. That is the wrong. Okay, what? What? What is going on? Shift down arrow has started moving this around. Wait. How do I do my block edit then? Windows. That moves line. Shift Alt. Okay, Shift Alt. Okay. I was very confused for a moment. There we go. Block edits. We're good. Okay, so we need to move this API key generate function. This needs to live somewhere else. Why did I think I needed the clock? I thought I needed it in here for something, but I guess not. Okay, so we're going to move. We'll drop you as a parameter. And this is the other nice part about the minimal API, is it figures it out, right? So there's a handful of things that it just knows how to populate for you. So like the DB context, because it's obviously not going to find that on like the body or the route, it knows to go, oh, I'll grab that from your DI container and I'll populate that for you. Cancellation token, this is something that comes through from the middleware in case the upstream call gets terminated. There's your token. Done. This comes in on the body. Done. Easy mode. Easy, easy, easy mode. Okay. And then this guy here on the create, this is going to be create at route. And we kind of need to go build out the get first before we get too carried away. Because this is going to be this guy. Maybe we go build this guy out and then come back. So that's probably what we should do next. So let's do that. Get API key. gonna look similar to this. So get partner is gonna look real similar to get API key. And so then the question comes, I think we don't return anything different here on a single. We just return the singular one. That makes me question the difference between having both of these. We're gonna do it like that for now, and we'll consider the differences later. Let's see, and it needs an ID. It's gonna need a handful of things. So it's gonna need most of this, right? What did I call this? Partner ID. So it's important that this name here, and you will get yelled at. But in this case, because this is the API key one. Roll up. This one here. This get partner. This partner ID needs to match, right? In order for it to make it all the way into here. We aren't going to have a user context, but we do need a DB context, and we've got a token. Great. Great, great, great. And then we're going to be something similar to this, except for let's see. We're going to have one of these, and this is the beauty of using these strongly typed result ones, is you can't accidentally return the wrong thing anymore. And then it's squawking at me because actually I think what we can just do, I need to make sure we're hitting that. Yeah. So I can just do, rather than toArray, we can just do first or default async partner promotion code. And then this guy literally just becomes partner promotion code. But this doesn't handle the not found case, right? So that's no bueno. So we got to handle that as well. Because this is a first or default, we need a where to make sure that we actually, get the right one. Actually, we can get away with doing this here, right? Because you take the predicate. So we can, rather than doing a where, we can just come down here and go. I actually like the way that reads better. This feels more SQL-y, right? It feels better to me. I think they probably generate the same SQL, but again, small table. Not going to stress too much about it. This order of operations feels nicer to me. Okay, so if partner promotion code is null, type result not found, done. And then sure, you want to ternary it? Yeah, fine. We can. Oh, that just looks so freaking ugly. Like that looks ugly. Guess it's not bad if we format it properly. All right, if we do that, that looks tolerable. Yeah, if null, return not found. Otherwise, okay response, bippity boppity booyah, done. Now we can come up here. All right, so this is then going to be partner promotion code, right? Because we're going to need to populate this sucker. This guy is going to be unhappy that he doesn't have everything set. Oh, and this is going to be interesting. We might need a separate one because we're going to need to like this will return fine, but we've now lost the API key that we generated. That's no bueno. And I do move API key generation. I would like this generate function to not live, because right now it lives inside the database model, which is fine-ish, except for I kind of want it used in two places, which means it probably shouldn't live in one of the places. And then we go with partner routes. Get partner. And I'm realizing maybe I should change these to be create partner. I think we're going to change these to include promotion code, I think is the way we're gonna go. This feels nicer. Let's see here. If I go bing, oh, what is it? Shift Alt? Nope. Control Alt. I never remember the multi-cursor thing. So Control Alt for those who care. Paste. There we go. Okay, and then Control Alt. We'll just abuse that nice little thing again to put multiple cursors down, and then paste. Wham! Done. There we go. Except for right there, that's not where we wanted one. That doesn't count. Okay, that feels a little better. This guy now needs the same treatment there. And then this one needs coupon code.id. And this needs to be partner ID. Okay. And now to include API key, because we need to show it somewhere, right? Because this is the one place where API key actually propagates out, and so we're going to need to add that in. Okay, so we've got get, do delete, and we'll go and add some stuff to all this. Let's see, we don't need user context. We are going to need partner ID as the GUID, because that is necessary. And what do we return here? No content or not found. That makes some good sense. Aside from my typing skills, don't make good sense. And then this is going to, I think, functionally be exactly the same. Well, sort of. There's some permissions checks in here that don't make sense. And we're going to do, let's see here, partner ID, and this is going to be partner, let's see, coupon code. And then we don't need any includes, where ID, singular default, goes there. We go partner coupon codes, save, no content, response, done. Next, where's the update call? Where's the update call? Hey, Isor, have a good one. Thank you for dropping in. I appreciate it. Let's see. We do not have an update built on this one. We only support delete. Okay. We'll just freehand it. No, we won't. We'll go copy it from, I don't know, probably Teams. Teams is generally a simplistic one. Create update. So it's going to be something akin to this. Let's see. Bring. So this is going to be partner ID. This is going to be update partner request. We need that. We don't need that. We don't need that. We do need that. Okay. Okay, and then functionally we do something akin to this, where we do all the interesting bits. Okay, except for this is going to be nowhere nearly as detailed. Something else that's worth calling out is when I register my database with EF Core, I explicitly register it as no tracking by default. Because the vast majority of the time I'm just reading. And when you do tracked entities in EF, your DB context has to watch for property changes to know, hey, if you call save changes, I go and update the thing, right? So if you don't need that, and you'll see some people do the opposite, right? They'll leave tracking on by default, and they'll do as no tracking on the stuff where they don't care about, because there is a nice performance gain to be had if you tell EF, yeah, no tracking, don't worry about this. I don't need you to be watching it for updates. It's like, oh, sweet, less for me to do. I'm cool with that, and then you're off to the races. In this case, because we are about to update it, like this, in this case, it is somewhat important that we actually get this one correct. So that's why we turn on the tracking, and we don't care about any of the permission stuff. And then this is going to be, I'm going to just cheat here, var, and then whoop, whoop. See, look at that. Let's see, coupon code. Just like that. As tracking, singular default async. Great. And then we're going to go here. And then we're going to go here. And then we're going to say, I don't care about any of this, because I think that's all we put on the request was name, right? Yep, that's the only thing we let them edit is the name. Don't care about any of this. Don't care about any of that. Boom. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, and then we need to return the updated one when we are done. Sorry, I'm missing something. Oh, it's because we haven't updated the return type. That's what's going on. So, do we actually return problem? Oh, we return problem in some of these cases. I don't think we're going to need it here. We can probably dial this sucker down a little bit, because I don't think we're going to need this. We are going to need to return back a partner promotion code in the case of an update. We will do that, but we won't need any of the interesting bits. So we'll just do that. And there may be an argument that, and by maybe an argument, I'm realizing that the fact that I want to do this multiple times means I should probably consider pulling this out. There is a very important difference between, so this select here, right? You'll note X in this case is in EF core entity instance, and I am projecting it into my POCO, my C# object that's going to be returned out from the API, right? This select and this little bit of logic here is not the same as this down here, right? Even though they're about to look real bloody similar, right? And it's real happy to, so this new, right? And this new are not the same. And the reason they are not the same is because this select is inside of a system link expression, right? So this is going to get translated into SQL. This is going to be C# code that is executed. So even though it looks like I'm duplicating code, I guess well, this one's going to be different because it's going to include the API key. So that one's going to be something slightly different. Right, we'll do that instead, just to get it compiling for now. This is also the same expression. So like I could do two overloads, one for the expression and one for this, but this one's going to be different. Don't know how I feel about that, because this one's actually going to be we're probably going to create a details one that includes the API key. So this is actually not duplicating any of the code above, despite how similar it looks. That's exciting. I mean, I guess technically it is duplicating this one for now, but this one's going to change. So, but there's no actual duplication. Okay, there's all of that. That gets me in there. That gets things built up. Let's make sure we're compiling, and then let's go spin some tests. Right. I guess the other thing we can do is let me find my. Right, I can kill that, and then if we want to launch we can go and make sure that this thing actually spun correctly. We can go look at the Swagger doc. All right, so this guy fires up, does the things. Oh, I never went back to the ASP.NET host. So I called out inside of here that I was doing this persistent lifetime. This is actually very convenient. So if you leave this off, what you will get is a Docker container with your SQL server. And when you shut down your Aspire host, it will shut down the container. And so when you are spinning up SQL Server inside of a Docker container, you have some choices to make. One, you can do like a volume mount to give it some persistent storage so that when your database server shuts down, your database is not lost. Because if you do nothing, it's just ephemeral, and every time that container dies, you lose everything and you start over, right? Maybe that's what you want, right? Like maybe you're doing some integration tests and wiping the database is a good thing, right? That could be a thing. So you can do a volume mount to be able to have some persistence there and go back and forth. The other thing you can do is you can set this lifetime, and this effectively sets the container lifetime to say, you know what? And I think the docs are actually pretty good. We'll jump in here, right? So if the container doesn't exist, it will get created. It will attempt to reuse it if it can effectively. And so this is kind of the middle ground that I decided I liked best. Is this will spin up a brand new SQL server, fresh, clean state. I can muck with it. And as long as I'm running locally and debugging, because remember, I'm using this Aspire host for my local environment. If I ever want to start over, I just kill the Docker container and poof, I have a fresh database all over again. It is mildly obnoxious if I have like a Windows update and I have to reboot in the middle, or a Docker update and I have to restart Docker. Like, that's annoying because it's like, shoot, maybe I'll delay that for a little bit because, I don't want to blow my database away yet. So it's like, well, maybe I should add a volume mount, maybe not. I don't know. So those are the pros and cons. Pick which one you like best. So it's all about what's more important to you, keeping the data around or being able to go back to a clean state. And in my case, I like going back to a clean state a lot. And I've got scripts that will repopulate testing data for me if I want it. So it's like, I can get my database reseeded very easily. That's not a problem. And you could write little database seeders and that kind of thing too. So it's like, if you've got easy ways of repopulating the data, going back to a clean state isn't always that bad, right? And I like that middle ground of, we'll leave the container running. That way, as I'm, debug, launch, debug, launch, debug, launch, it stays there. And across debug sessions, my data persists. It just doesn't persist if I kill the container. So I have a very easy way of resetting myself back if I want to. Okay. I have no idea. There it is. Where it launched to. So if I look at my admin API and hit the Swagger page, what I should see, oh, right. We did all of that work and we didn't bind anything, so nothing shows up in the Swagger endpoint. See, this is why we should test. Okay. So that did nothing. And it did nothing because over here in my program CS, I have done nothing to bind any of it. So yeah, so all of that is ye garbage. I don't know why I have that sitting around. Let's get rid of that. Okay. So if we look at the API service one, this guy here, like if we look at team extensions, right? This map team endpoints, right, is only invoked by one place. So effectively, I just have a bunch of calls here that shell out to each of the individual ones as needed. So if we go back up here, what that means is about here, we're going to do this, and we're going to do map partner endpoints. That will get us to there. We are then going to kill off this thing because I don't want to. I'm going to comment it because I want to go and look up this verify has accepted scope stuff because I don't remember exactly how I need to set this up. We're gonna just kill that. But now when I launch, what I expect, what is the front end written in? Great question. So the front end for the website itself is React. So if we jump over here, clearly we have problems. Let's see. I should be able to hit my GitHub account here. Should just work. Yay! So yeah, so this is the React front end. I think I have it set up for my local environment. It looks like I do. But yeah, so that's where this one is sitting in. And it's the front end for this. Just with my partner and the way we were splitting up the work. The front end is the only part of kind of the hosted solution that lives outside of my backend repository. So if you'll note in my Aspire app host, I've got kind of this weird little directory thing that just says, hey, let's go and look and see if the front end is checked out right alongside of us. And if it is, great. We're going to add another resource into our dashboard with it. Done. So simple little way of bringing it in without doing a lot of work. And then the key thing here is just kind of this little dirty check with the API service and having this reference flow through. That way it automatically references back to my API. Let's see. Hi, Zen. Hi, Kevin. Trying to get a reference to a canvas that's inside an items panel of an items control, but it's not directly accessible by name in the code behind. Right now, I'm handling this by using the loaded event of the canvas and traversing the visual tree, items control border canvas, and storing it as a reference to it in a private field. I assigned to a new dummy canvas beforehand, but this feels ugly. Is there a better way? So probably let me sorry, I just want to read this one more time. So you have an items panel inside of an items control, and you're basically looking to do, I'm guessing this is some sort of like drag drop-y situation where the canvas is the desirable panel because of its absolute positioning. I am also, Heisen, I'm making an assumption this is WPF. If that's wrong, please correct me, but this I'm fairly confident this is WPF. Let's see. So items control border canvas, and you want to be able to get access to the canvas by name. So let's see here. The items panel is effectively a data template, so it's not populated right away. Is there a cleaner way to get at it than just parsing the visual tree? Because I know we've done this. Let me look real quick. Sorry, I was checking to see. Vic.exe, if you're there, feel free to chime in. You've done this more recently than I have. Trying to think if there's a cleaner solution, because in your items control, you set the items panel, you set the canvas. You can't really get to the canvas via name, which makes some sense because you said, see, Vic, you're there. So when you did this before, I think you went. I think you did something very similar where you watch for the loaded event and then grab the canvas. Though, honestly, if you're grabbing the loaded event, I don't think you have to traverse the visual tree. I'm not sure I needed a reference to it. Ah, okay. So you may have gotten around it. Yeah, so there's a couple options here that you may be able to do. So if you're let me see. Do I have okay, detour time. Let me find an appropriately scoped terminal window. No, we're just gonna jump. Let's see. Make their WPF test, right? cd WPF test. .NET new. Boom. What to do? And we got a solution. So there's a couple things that may be worth consideration. Sorry, it's gonna spend a hot second here while it figures itself out. So you've got something that looks akin to this, right? So items control, items panel, and then you've got some sort of items panel template, right? And then we've got the canvas. Boom. So you've got something akin to this, and you want to be able to grab a hold of this canvas to be able to do useful stuff. So a few things, like if you're already watching the loaded event, right? And you do something like this in your code behind. So canvas C equals canvas sender, right? Like you can grab it as simply as this to be able to cache it. And if you are just looking to hold on to it because you want to register mouse events and similar on there. The other thing so this will get you a reference that you could do, and it'll save you at least the parsing of the visual tree, which I kind of like a little bit better. And this might be why you didn't need a direct reference to it, Vic, because the other thing you can do is if you're wanting to register up mouse events, I'm trying to remember, is this not, let's see, background transparent. Like I'm wondering if you actually need to grab it or if you can just register the event straight up on it. So we're gonna just do that for a second, because I think you can just grab it. I think you can avoid needing a hard reference to it and just register the event handlers to your code behind. The other thing that may be worth consideration is a behavior, because a behavior is a nice way of attaching code behind stuff. So if I do this, yeah, a mouse down event comes right through. Yeah, so you may be able, so I guess I would be curious to see, yeah, I think you might be able to get away without needing to store if all you're doing is adding event handlers to your canvas. I think you can just register event handlers directly on this, because then these events are wired up for you as part of this initialized component. I don't know if it'll let me in. Yeah, so it's going to be hidden away in the load component. But the initialized component handles registering those things for you, because it knows when it's injected the appropriate instance for that canvas. And so these things then get built up and you're off to the races, right? So down here in this connect, after it's done all of this fancy stuff, this is always a fun one, line number 29, which, pro tip, this is an awesome trick if people haven't seen this before. It's very rarely used in your own code and mostly used in generators. But if you want to lie to the debugger about where it should be, this is how you can do it. Pound line file reference. And the debugger will just happily move the execution pointer there. It's really fun. Again, this is done just so that the debugger goes, oh, okay, this loaded thing is actually line 29 in main window.xaml, because this is functionally where the developer wrote it. But it's like, well, it's not actually there. It's actually over here. So, you can do that kind of stuff. So yeah, give that a shot, Heisen, and see. I think in most cases, if you just register the event handlers, you'll then be good. If you do need to cache it for something else, I would just grab it like this. I think this is probably the easiest way to do it, because then you don't have to think as hard. But if the behavior that you need can be kind of wrapped up and contained, a behavior is not a bad idea either, right? So so you end up referencing the interactivity bits. XAML behaviors wiki. Yeah, so this is the community toolkits docs, but they shell out to the other ones, and their docs are fairly good because they're using the same base class. They've just come with a lot of built-in ones. But a behavior is often a nice way of wrapping up the code behind stuff, because it gives you an attach-detach method, and one of the properties is associated element, which in your case, if you attach the behavior to the canvas, you then have this class with an attach-detach where you can register up to events and everything to your heart's content. The only thing with behaviors, though, that you have to remember is they're designed to be kind of encapsulated code behind units that are technically reusable, that you can drop into other places. So it may be overkill if you're never going to reuse it, but it is a nice way of getting yourself code behind onto a XAML element that might not otherwise have code behind. So for example, this guy here, like a resource dictionary by default doesn't have a code behind file. And so you can either make a resource dictionary have a code behind file, or you can just attach a behavior to the element inside the resource dictionary and kind of get that same type of behavior. So it depends a little bit on what you're doing, but something of that nature perhaps. So yeah, give that a shot. See how that works. Good question though. Love questions. So if anybody has stuff, like, I always come into these streams with an idea of what I'm going to work on, but I am always happy to rabbit trail if people have interesting questions. Okay. Now I just have to stack pop my brain back to where I was. We were mapping endpoints so that they showed up in Swagger. Yeah, that's what we were doing. We're getting rid of all this garbage. Putting all that there. And we are mapping partner endpoints, which will then have all of these, which will do all of the needful, and then we're gonna see if it works. I think that's what we were doing. I got very distracted. My brain had to switch into XAML mode. Okay. And then I just want to see, my Swagger page. Okay. Oh, that's right. Body was inferred, but the method does not allow inferred body parameters. I do not know what you were talking about. Let's see. Below is the list of the parameters that were found. Parameter, context, source, body, inferred. That's almost assuredly wrong if the parameter's name is context. Do you want to give me any hints on which method this was? Do you want to explain why you have this random apostrophe just hanging out in the middle of nowhere? Visual Studio, you have lost your mind. Let's see here. Maybe the call stack will give me a hint. Let's see here. Quest delegate, create factory. It grouped endpoints, blah, blah, blah. And for metadata, like it did so much usefulness and then no more usefulness. Okay, so we could probably guess our way into this one. Worst case scenario, we binary search it with copying things out. But I am willing to bet one of these let's see. One of these guys is going to be my problem child. They all take in the context. I'm just looking for the ones that might not have. The create is the one that is immediately catching me, and the list is the one catching me. Because those ones don't have something from the route in them. Those ones both catch my attention. So let's get rid of the create for the moment and see if that fixes it. And then we're going to get rid of the list as well. But I have a suspicion that it's not that one. And we can go through and decorate the parameters with the attributes. Like the error said, you can set the from services if you need to override where it's inferring them from. Oh, so that did not do it. But it got further. Partner ID context. Oh, interesting. So hang on. Does this have partner ID and context? Oh, wrong button. Partner ID context. Ah. If I put this back, does the error go back to the context one? Oh, I bet you I know what it is. I know what it is. It's trying to find it in the DI container, and it doesn't exist. I bet you that's what it is. Yeah, it goes back. Okay. I know what I did wrong. Okay, so the problem here is on my main service, I have... Where is it? It is in here somewhere. Add Velopack service defaults. Right? This guy does, among other things, registers up the database, which is wonderful and lovely, but I'm not calling that on my admin service, so it has none of that. It has none of that. Now this is a little overkill, but we're going to do it anyway. Let's see. Let's go down here. Builder.services. There. Do something of that nature. Why do you no find it? Because I put it on the wrong thing. There you go. Now you should just register up all the things, and now it should know about the database. Since the connection string should already exist in the environment variables due to our lovely Aspire host doing so much of the heavy lifting for us. Right? If we look on it here, we see connection strings database. Huzzah! It just works. It just wires it up. It works. It's lovely. Mwah. And you'll note, no longer getting random errors. So that's also a plus. Okay. Let's go to Swagger. There we go. We've got list, get, put, delete. As I say that, yeah. Like, it seems like we're missing something. We are. I did not uncomment the post. Let's just make sure that there's no issues there. And then we're going to go and spin some test stuff. And we might refactor the tests a little bit as well. There we go. There. The full rainbow spectrum. That's what I'm looking for. Blue, orange, red, green. Those are the colors of, an API. See? Boom. Right? And we can look at them and verify the parameters and all that stuff, right? So if we go put, you can see that put will only take a name. If we go with the post, it'll see that it wants a name and a stripe coupon code and all that jazz. Great. The other thing we have not done is we have not actually created the, I have it, stripe service. Create promotion code async. Hey, look at that. It's like I already knew what service I was going to need. So we got one of those. We should actually, when we do this, create the whole thing. So we're going to add it in, but this guy here, we're also going to need one of these. Service. And then we should be able to go await, stripe service, create promotion code. Let's see, request. Oh, we don't. Oh, wait. We don't create the promotion code here. Right. This is creating the partner. The partner API will create the promotion code. Right. I'm an idiot. Okay. This is fine. This is the admin API. Okay. And now we're going to go try to shoot myself in the foot real quick. So on my testing, what do I have referenced in now here? Now I do have fluent assertions in here, and I'm mildly unhappy because for anybody who saw, fluent assertions changed their licensing model. And it's kind of a touchy subject because on one hand, I like the idea of people, like, open source developers do not make money. They need a paid for model. But I always hate when I see something that was free change itself to not be free. And in a lot of cases where people go with like dual licenses, where it's like, okay, you only pay if you're a big business and you don't pay if you aren't. Like, that's fine, but I don't want to like grow this and then all of a sudden start eating extra cost when it's like, I don't know that it's actually giving me that much value. It's like, if it was giving me more value, maybe, but Okay. The other thing that's worth noting about is I do have all of this stuff piled on in here, and I'm really, like, part of me wants to go full T-unit because I really like T-unit, but I would have to fight with this, so we're not going to do that. We're going to stick with X-unit because I am not going to shoot myself in the foot. I love T-unit, and for people who are unfamiliar with T-unit, check out prior streams. Let's see. So I want to be, nope, I'm in the wrong repo. And I want to be underneath test, where we're going to land, and we are going to call this Velopack, admin API, tests, send it. We are going net 9, all the things. Not that it's going to matter that much. Okay, so we need to do a handful of things. First of all, nuke all that crap. Next, we probably want this here. We do not need the global using. That's handled. I've got, like, my directory build props is quite extensive. So I do a lot of stuff to just make it all work nicely for me, so I don't have to think real hard. Okay, so that gets me to there. Let's see, we need a project reference to the project we want to test. That makes sense. Add that. Done. And then I guess we'll do the fluent analyzers. I'm kind of trying to decide why that isn't up here and not anywhere else. Because the package reference lives here, so I think I can put this here and then just kill this off. I don't think this needs to exist. Okay. There. Make that a little simpler for all involved. I'm gonna just, while I'm doing this, go kill all of these things off because I moved all of these things off. You'll probably just change it in one place there too, but clear all of that out. The other thing that I've done is I've actually pinned Fluent Assertions back to a slightly older version where it is no longer dealing with their updated licensing stuff. So just because I decided to do that to give me time to think about what I actually want to do long term. JC, good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We are having fun in Web API land and Velopack. It's very exciting. We are building an admin API so that I can generate promotion codes for coupons. I know. It's very exciting. It's exciting for me because I enjoy building this stuff. Okay, so that gets me all the way to there. That gets me to there. I got my band symbols going. This is, for people who haven't seen this, this is, if you want to annoy your colleagues, this is how you do it. Let's see, I think it's actually all the way top level. We build props. No, where is the package in here? There's the band API analyzer. Yeah. So this Microsoft Code Analysis Band API analyzers. This is one of the coolest ones. I love this thing. This is when you want to annoy people. I think the docs for it are here. Let's see. Let's just hunt band. I think it's in here. Let's see. Do not use band APIs. Blah 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 blah. Meant disposable correctly. Yeah, they're referencing it in here. Short version: you bring in this band API analyzer. So for anybody who wants to play along at home, and then you can create this band symbols.txt file at the root of your project, and anything that it finds in here, it just straight up, like, it will generate a build warning that you can then elevate to an error if you'd like. So you can just straight ban APIs of please do not use this ever. So for example, I have banned the usage of calling datetime offset now and UTC now specifically, and I leave a nice little message of, hey, if you're trying to do this, here's the alternative, right? Use the new time provider API that's included in Net9, right? Like, go do that. So it's a way of kicking people, and it's like when you want to flag a method as obsolete, but the method isn't yours, this is how you can do it. So, fun tricks. Fun tricks. And it keeps future Kevin from doing something that current Kevin doesn't like. That's also important. Okay, so I want to do a couple things, and I want to do one of these tests immediately. We're going to come up here and we're going to paste this because we're going to get this going. So the idea here is that this should be I want to effectively snapshot test into to make sure that my API doesn't change without me knowing about it. Does that need to go into material design and XAML? That's a good question, JC. Maybe. The only thing that's I might think on that. Because like I said, it is a great analyzer for annoying people, and I try to keep the bar for entry on material design and XAML as low as is I think reasonable. Like, I don't elevate warnings as errors locally, but I do elevate them on the pipeline. So it's like people who want to just kind of clone and play around with the repository, I don't want them to have to fight with it to get it going. And then but I do bump warnings as errors up on the pipeline. So if you get to the point of submitting a PR, at that point it's like, well, now we kind of got to actually like fix stuff. Like I want people to download and clone and play without feeling like they're fighting with the tooling. Because it's like if somebody just clones and wants to play around locally, I don't care what they do. I only care when it merges back. Like, then I care a little bit. But yeah, it may be. I'll think on that. It may be worth doing at some point, just to kind of strongly hint to people. The one thing I really want is I want an equivalent for it for XAML. Like I want XAML analyzers. Like we've got C# analyzers. Now I want it for my XAML. Like I also want source generators for my XAML. That would be nice too. Who wins the battle between future and past Kevin? Ooh, well, current Kevin always wins. Past Kevin is generally considered to be an idiot, and future Kevin just makes mistakes. So current Kevin's always best, but I think I take future Kevin over past Kevin. Past Kevin didn't know anything. I think that's I think the general way of how that works. Okay, so web application factory. Boy, I am gonna want to move some of this into a shared place where I can play with it. But this class here, so we're gonna copy this thing over, and then we're gonna figure out what we need to keep and what we need to change. So step one, what we need to change is the namespace. That needs to go immediately. Okay, and now this guy here. This is the other thing. And I was wondering if I was going to get bit by this, but I didn't know how the other one worked. So you'll note it wants to reference a program, but I need the program class to be public. How did I make it public? Oh, haha, that's what I did. Like, how did I make it public? So when you use a top level statement, so like all of this, what is that? Was that garbage? This all gets put into a generated program class with a main method and all that. It's great. It's wonderful. The problem is the program class gets generated as class program. Technically, it gets generated partial class program. But the default access modifier for classes without anything specified is internal, which means you can't touch it from your unit test project. So the dirty little trick is you come down here and you go, you know what? I'm going to declare another part of that partial, and I'm going to put an access modifier on it that's public. So, boom, done. It's one of those areas of C# where you have to know the internals of how it works in order to like use it well. It's very unfortunate. I think in an ideal situation, people wouldn't have to know the internals to leverage it effectively. But in this case, that's just unfortunately a side effect. Comment required. Probably this changes the default access modifier of the program class to be public for testing with web application factory. Probably a good call out. Okay, we're going to get rid of that for now until I know that I need it. Okay, We have serialization, which we need. We have SQLite, which we need. So I'm looking at this from the perspective of, I think some of this is about to move into a base class that I can reference in both my test projects, because I think I'm going to end up wanting a lot of this. I think. Now, I'm obviously going to need this. This isn't going to be right because this is setting up claims on a user that's expected to look like a B2C user, whereas in this case, I want it to look like an admin user. So that's going to be very different. We don't need any of these. We don't need any of these. I do like the idea of having the Stripe service simulator. So where does that live? Because we do have a shared testing repository where we can move some of this down. But I'm wondering if maybe what I want is a service core test to hold these shared bits, because the Stripe service lives inside a service core, and so I'm thinking an equivalent there is probably apt. The XUnit logging provider, where is that? Why is that not in my shared? Why are you not in my shared stuff? You should absolutely be in my shared stuff. Yeah, I don't know why this one's not. So that's just in a bad place. Pull you out, put you in the... because you should probably be underneath my XUnit folder. That would make a lot more sense. Change namespace, make you public. You should be accessible. You can stay internal, I believe. Same with you. I don't think either of you need to be exposed until such a time as I see a reason to. Let's build this project and see if anything broke. Hopefully the namespace refactor just worked. Of course not. That would, oh, this is, hold on. Let's see. Admin one I don't care about. This one I care about. XUnit logging provider couldn't be found. Include that. Okay, so that'll fix that. But I do think I'm going to need a base web application factory because a good chunk of this is going to straight get reused. So I think we're going to leverage that. You should now be referenceable. Yeah, and then this we're going to want to keep. I just do this, register the default authentication scheme so we can do faked users. Add authorization policies, great. I don't think I care about email client mocking. Not until there is such a time as I need it. The authentication stuff is used, that's used. This is all the test auth handler stuff. So what's left? So the Stripe service stuff needs to be probably moved into I think I'm going to create a project just to hold those references. What is left in here? What else is tightly coupled? Because this is getting close to being an uncoupled thing. What am I missing? Where's the red? Oh, there it is. Oh, so the authentication schemes. This probably moves because we're going to need HMAC in more than one place. So I think we probably move this into the service core. Let's look at that first of all. So I think this authmac, this was the authentication helper. HMAC authentication options. I see no reason why this shouldn't move into service core, because we're going to need it in multiple places. So that seems to be a good argument to move it. Let's give ourselves an auth namespace here. Authentication options, cut, paste. And I have fairly good test coverage over this whole area. So if it seems like I'm making changes kind of willy-nilly, it's because I'm real confident that if my tests pass, that I'm in good shape. Why do I have scheme and schema? I don't understand why this exists. Unless I'm missing something. Yeah. This can just be that. I think that's slightly more obvious too of what's going on. Where's that options coming from? Oh, it was passed down. It was being passed in from the base. Yeah, I think I like just being explicit. That wasn't overriding anything from the base, was it? No. These are both legitimately just at this level. I don't think there's anything in the base that references it. Nope. Okay. Yeah. So we're going to go with the deletion. And we moved him down and we changed his reference, and that should now work. We'll see about moving more in a minute, but for now that should get us compiling. Okay, because we'll almost assuredly need more here in a bit. But what I'm looking for is this thing is looking real close to what I would consider a good base class for what I'm going to want. So I think we're going to just yank this sucker out, genericize him, and be in a pretty good place for most of this. Okay, so let's go and take this web application factory class, and let's move him into, oh, shortcut for removing usings. So I am doing Control RG, but if you come up to, I believe it's under Edit, and then Advanced, and where is it? It's Remove and Sort Usings. Could have sworn it was in here. Refactor? No. Aligning. Okay, if we go search, remove and sort usings. Edit IntelliSense, remove and sort usings. Edit. IntelliSense, remove and sort usings. So control, I don't know why mine isn't showing the shortcut here, but I believe the default Visual Studio is Control RG. I used to actually do Alt E, I, and then it used to be OA, but now it's Alt E-I-E. So E-I-E-I-O, except for, without the O. For those people who are familiar with that children's song, that will get it stuck in your head. So Alt E-I-O, and it doesn't. But yeah, Control RG will get you there as well. Okay, so Web Application Factory, I think we are going to copy this into testing. Right? Because there's nothing fancy. Maybe I should make, oh man. Trying to decide where to draw this line. Because some of these, like the data one, I don't want, I want data to continue being able to reference testing without taking a dependency on web stuff. Thinking I need, let's do this. So add new project. Let's add a class library next. Because we're going to need it in both cases anyway. Oh yeah, no, that's a good point. The cleanup profiles. So where are those things? You um configure code cleanup, and then there's the two run code cleanup. So in the configure code cleanup, you can add in whatever you want here. And I've seen people do this quite a bit where they've got multiple profiles for like remove unnecessary and sort usings. You can do auto formats. This is oftentimes a very nice way. Usually people's biggest complaint is there's not enough fixers in here for everything they want to do, but it does get you a fairly reasonable thing. I've always I don't know. I instinctively manually do it, and some people get twitchy about doing it consistently, but it's yeah. For people who want to continue these, because you can do the is it tools options, I think, and then if you do code cleanup here, and so this is the option here for run code cleanup profile and save, and you can see you've got multiple profiles to pick from, and then there's the link to get into that same screen. So, no, good call out there. Thank you. Okay, sorry. Add new project. Class library. And then we're going to go and test. And then the hard part is going to be the naming of this. So it's going to be Velopack. I think if I just call it Service Core Testing, because you'll note there's a subtle difference I've done in my naming. Testing is the libraries. Tests is the unit test project. And I think we're going to go like that. I think that makes it better. Because, and then let's clean you up so you don't suck. Okay. So you'll know like my band symbols is already showing up. It's because my directory build props is doing some heavy lifting for me. So I think what I want to do is I would like to copy you into here. Okay, and then the question is, what do I need? So I need MVC testing brought into here. That's a given. I'm going to need SQLite. Both of those are a given. This is the whole point of this separate thing is because I need a separate set of dependencies that I don't necessarily want to share elsewhere. So, and then this thing was picking up the jot bearer. Where was that making it in from? It must be, oh, it's coming in because I am referencing the API project, and so it's probably a transitive dependency. But I don't want this thing to have to reference an API project. So what I really want is this, and I don't understand why the project generator added these in. Thank you. I will add my own no warns. Thank you very much. I appreciate you trying to help me, but knock it off. Let's see. And then I intrinsically like to try to sort these things because I'm weird. I feel better when things are in order. Yeah. I don't know. For some reason that makes me feel good. What can I say? I'm weird. So web application of T program, and we're gonna do T program, and just to avoid naming collisions, we're gonna do this, just so it's real clear what we've done. Okay, so now it wants a generic constraint. Go ahead and add the constraint for me. Where is the... None of those are at the generic constraint. Fine. Where T program derives from class. Happy? There we go. Okay, so that has effectively almost everything in it that I think should occur by default. We got to deal with the configure services from the other one. Authenticate async. So this needs to be changed up because I need all of the references that were closing before to not be closing. So we're gonna go there, there, and then how many more references do we have? Just those? Okay, so it's just those. So that should make you are now referenced. That feels better because now it actually figures out how to do it. It's what we want. It's got all of the logging stuff. It's got the user context stuff. We're gonna break you out into your own file. That makes me feel a little more warm and fuzzy there. And then more importantly, once we're inside of here, I think we're gonna add a project reference to service core. And then I think what we're going to do is we are going to grab that Stripe service simulator, because before I was putting all of my simulators here, but I don't think I want that. So I'm going to cut you, go here, go add folder, simulator. It was simulators, wasn't it? Yep. There's a general idea that when you're naming namespaces, it's often best to use a plural, only because when you name namespaces in a plural, you don't run into the collision when you want to have a class of the same name. Right? Like it's not uncommon to run into a situation where the last bit of your namespace, oftentimes there's a class inside of it that you want to match, and that will cause you no end of problems. And so if your namespaces have a plural on the end, you just kind of subtly sidestep that whole issue, and it becomes less of an issue. Okay, so that gets me into there, which means this guy here should now be able to reference that. Oh, once I change you over to be in the right namespace. There we go. And then you should be able to get a reference to that. And can we not? I think in this case, we can just reference the simulator's namespace directly. I think the other one wasn't able to do it because it ran amok. Oh, no, that's why. Because, grumble, 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 grumble. Kind of want to clear that off, though. Let's see. Using Velopack service core testing. That I do wrong. Oh, it's because grumble, 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 grumble. Fine, we'll just do this fully qualified and call it a day. No, I don't have to fight it. Let's see. In community tool MVVM, when using observable property, is it true that you cannot modify the value being assigned to a property with the on-property changing partial method, unlike a traditional property setter where you can adjust the value before it's stored? Yes, that is correct. Inside of the in window view model, if we open this guy up and look at the analyzer, because you'll see count is one there. If we look at the community toolkit source generators, and then we look at the property on backing field, why do you not show me the generated code? Come on, show it to me. I know you have it in there. Am I? Oh, is it this one? Servo property generator. There it is. So if we look at what actually gets generated for it, you'll note here the on property changing, right? That ends up getting invoked and the value changed. Like nothing is assigning back to value or passing by ref value in. So if you're trying to leverage like one of these changing methods, it ends up doing nothing. The only thing you can technically do, and you want to be slightly more careful in doing this, is there's nothing stopping you from calling the setter of your property a second time, right? So what I mean is if you do partial on count changing, right? Like there's nothing stopping you from saying, oh, actually I want count to be new value plus 1. Now, do not do this. This will cause a Stack Overflow. Because now inside of the setter, I have recalled the setter with a new value. That's always going to keep coming. Like the only way this works is if you have something like if count, less than 10, right? Like this needs to be conditionally done, right? And so that you don't end up in an infinite loop, right? Of going through and do. But yes, it is true that you cannot mutate this value as part of it going all the way through. Again, you can do something like this, but do it with caution, right? Because I have shot myself in the foot many a time doing this. Oftentimes, if you can, what I will often do instead is just give myself a function that does whatever calculation I want to do on the way in and have it be the thing that calls my setter, right? Rather than trying to do it as part of the setter. That's one option. The other thing you can do is you don't have to always use the observable property attribute. Could set the backing field unchanged. You could, right? Like that is another option, right? Like you could come through here and do this. Now, obviously this is in the changing method. So this value gets overwritten, right? And the MVVM toolkit analyzer throws warnings at you, but you could do the changed, right? Because again, if we look at the source gen, once we hit the changed, nothing else is like, this is the only place where the field gets written to. So anywhere down here, if you were to write to the field, it technically works, right? The other thing though that you can do is you don't have to use the source generated version of the property if you don't want, right? Like it's not terrible, private int foo, right? To say, you know what, I need to do something interesting here, right? Like this is the base, like this is what the source generator is saving you from. So if you want to do something more interesting, you can always just abandon the source generator. Like it's nice and generates code for you because most of the time your properties look identical. However, if you do run into a situation where you want to change it, like Vic called out to me the other day, a situation where the desire was to have a private set. Well, you can't do that with the source generator. So fully implemented the property. Not a bad reason to do it, right? If you want something of that nature. So it's not a terrible idea if what the source generator is doing for you is not quite right. You can always just fall back to writing it yourself. Like this used to be the way before source generators were a thing. Like this pattern was what I used to teach people for how to properly implement a property inside of their view model. And it was a lot of typing. And then source generators came out and I fell absolutely in love with them. But yeah, so if there is something you want to do that's a little more interesting, like you can't always fall back to doing this rather than trying to do something hacky around the source generator, you can just take it out. Do something when food changes. Well, I don't know. I guess it past tense perhaps, right? Because after the call to set property, foo is changed. Oh, you're right. Thank you, JC. Hold on. That one I strongly suspect is actually wrong in my repo on my template. So real quick, just real quick, we're gonna we're gonna pretend like you saw nothing. There is nothing there. We're gonna just check this guy out. Look at that. I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. We're just gonna real quick fix that. You're the first one to notice that. Yeah, because it came from right there. To generate, let's see, unobservable property. Good eye, JC. You are on point tonight. Yeah. We go here. Stop it. Go away. Fixing observable property comment. And push. Just gonna send that one right on the way in. Okay. I see no problem. It all fixed now. So I'll have to push an update to the NuGet package at some point, but it's at least checked into the repository, so next release it'll go out. Thank goodness it's not a scarily bad change. Okay, so this, back to here, will get me a base class that does most of what I want. And then I don't need you anymore, and this gets me very good setup. So this web application factory then becomes Velopack web application factory. I need to add a project reference to my new thingy. That gets me into there, and then I can delete, I think, this entire file because I don't have any customization that I wish to do to this file whatsoever. So that's nice. That makes this feels warm and fuzzy. Okay, let's see if we're compiling, and if we aren't, we're going to adjust some things. I will say there is wisdom in always slowing down and making sure you're back in a working state before you get too carried away with things. Okay, so this guy is failing, but we're going to come back to him in a minute because we're going to need to pull over this endpoint test base, but I think it's going to go into our new project. Let's see. HMAC authentication options configuration source is inaccessible. Well, that's simple. That's because we moved it into another project, so we're just going to bring him public. Stripes serviced. You changed namespaces, so we're going to grab it from here. At some point, we are going to change this one up to use the new base class, but I think for now, oh, and you don't have a reference to that project yet. So service core testing, we're going to add that in. That way this reference resolves. There. We want to get back into a compiling state. And then, where's this? There we go. Okay, so that guy was leveraging him. His namespace is now fixed, and that goes away. Okay, so this should get us back into a working state. Just compile real quick and make sure we're running. And then just in an effort to be real efficient here, we're going to rerun the test. Ignore the red. That is from a different branch. I just haven't run it on this branch on this machine since I was working on it. And so we should be more or less in the green, I think. We aren't. We're going to address any red and then circle back. Because right now, the big thing is the new admin stuff is untested, but that's okay. We're just going to make sure all of these tests pass. That's making me feel good so far. Come on, come on. T-Unit is fast. I know, JC, I know. I want to convert it over to T-Unit very badly. I've got a shared project, and so like it will happen. Arish, welcome, welcome. First time. Good to have you. We are having fun in ASP.NET Core, building web APIs, and at the moment, trying to get testing for them in place and refactoring my universe. Okay, my universe is compiling and my tests are running. That means my universe is happy. Okay, so this guy here wants endpoint test base, which I think is over here. And I believe I want to bring this guy in. Yeah, so this guy I would like to move. But he is going to be dependent on temp file test base, which I'm going to need. So, let's collection expression that guy because new stuff is cool. What is the other blue line? Spelling, don't care, don't care. Okay, so temp file test base I want to move down into my service core testing. Paste. Yep. Let's see here. Then I want the namespace to be updated. Change namespace. Okay. That fixes that. You still work. Let's see. I've seen a lot of devs who are doing C# use Visual Studio instead of VS Code, but VS Code feels more modern, elegant. You're not wrong. VS Code is very much built with a newer tech stack. Visual Studio it's got a lot of history. So like the comment about feels more modern, yeah, like Visual Studio is not a product at Microsoft that's owned by a single team. Like there's a lot of different teams and they all own different sections, and some of the tech in here is kind of old. So I will say that. It does get updates like they'll refresh the UI and things like that to try to bring things forward. There is a lot more. I think it depends on what people are looking for. If you want a lot more of like the full featured IDE with those deep debugging experience and the profiling and the integration and all of that, Visual Studio far outplays VS Code. VS Code used to have OmniSharp, and then their new, what do they call it? The C# Dev Kit, I think is the name of it, which is good, but like it's somewhat simplistic in what it offers at this point compared to Visual Studio. Like they're trying to build out the C# Dev Kit because they obsoleted Visual Studio for Mac, and so right now VS Code with the C# Dev Kit is their Mac solution, and it just feels like it's lacking right now. And so yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's missing. Like it is nowhere close to feature parity. And part of it is because Visual Studio has been built up over decades. I think the first release was in '98, something of that nature. So when I say decades, like I'm not exaggerating much. Like it is ye old. Um, so, or at least that's when it started. And some code dates back, I don't doubt, probably 10 plus years easy in some areas. Because occasionally you run into stuff and you're like, whoa, that is clearly not been updated in a very long time. But yeah, with that said, it is, if you were on Windows, Visual Studio does kind of offer that premier experience. There's a handful of features in like their Pro and Enterprise tier that are very nice, specifically around some of the more advanced like live unit testing features and some more of those kind of integrated experiences. If you're on the free tier of Visual Studio, the Community Edition, it's going to be a little closer to what you might get in VS Code, and so there's a fair judgment call to be made there. For anybody on a Mac, honestly, JetBrains Writer is no slouch when it comes to a really good IDE experience. My personal preference, if I am building like something cross platform and I'm on a Mac, I'm reaching for Writer as my IDE. Like it's not bad. It's really good. Um, for people who have a lot of muscle memory with Visual Studio, it's a little different. If you ran ReSharper with Visual Studio, Writer feels very familiar because a lot of that, like same company makes Writer and ReSharper. So there's a lot of symmetry there. It's just Rider is the IDE that ReSharper tries to make Visual Studio into. It's just that because Visual Studio is an extension, it can only do so much, whereas Rider, it's the full IDE. They can, sky's the limit. So, yeah, I guess that would be my thought. Again, VS Code is not bad, and especially if you're doing cross-platform stuff or you're doing anything web-based. Like most of the people I work with, like even myself, if I'm gonna work on like the front end website, I'm reaching for VS Code to do my React stuff, not Visual Studio. But if I'm doing C#, anything that's remotely serious, I'm probably jumping back into Visual Studio rather than doing it in VS Code. If it's quick and easy, like we just did the edit to the .NET template, and I did the VS Code in the browser to edit it right there in line on GitHub because it's like, it's quick, it's easy. And I think that's where VS Code really shines, is for a lot of people, it's that quick, easy editor that they can reach for. And for some people, it makes for a full IDE experience, but it really does rely heavily on its extensions to provide that IDE experience. And the C# Dev Kit, feature for feature, is way behind Visual Studio, mostly because it's way behind in years of development too, because it was just released last year, I think. So it's, yeah, like it's moving fast, and it'll probably get a lot of good features. And in a few years, it might be a much better competitor, especially in a cross-platform universe. But for now, if you're on Windows doing .NET, Visual Studio is kind of your premier experience, with I think Rider taking second, and then maybe VS Code in third. But it's like things start dropping off when you get into third place. Those are my 2 cents. Did I move endpoint test base? No, I did not. That is the next thing I would like to move. We're going to pick you up, put you down. Okay, and then this needs to be... so I want... I'm going to need to make you generic is the problem. T program. And I think I just do this. If I change the namespace, that'll fix the missing using there, because now they should be alongside each other. Nope, didn't change that namespace, so that caught a bug, so that was nice. Okay, so those two are alongside each other. This guy now needs a where program is there, and then this is probably just going to need to change up to be more like this and more like this, and this is going to be, I don't know why I had that as public. If you have an abstract class, it's rare to ever need the constructor as public, because by definition an abstract class must be subclassed. So oftentimes an abstract class the constructor will just be protected. Let's see. What do you think about this whole AI replacing software developers? That is a great question, and very much a hot topic thing. I do not think that AI is going to I think AI will change how software developers work. I don't think it's going to replace software developers. Right? Like in ye olden days, people did punch cards and they wrote assembly, and it was all this very low level stuff, and it was hard to do. And then we got better tooling and higher abstraction languages, and things kind of moved up higher. And for the most part, we don't have to think about lower level stuff right now. Like I write C#. I don't usually have to think about the underlying IL or any of that stuff. And so I think AI will potentially bring another layer up, perhaps, of what we have. What that ends up looking like is kind of weird, because it's not generating great code yet. And there's a lot of people who are like, oh, but it will soon in the future. I'm like, I don't doubt that it can get better. But right now, like it's barely junior level, and like it causes more mistakes. And so like I think what is more likely to occur is the low code, no code solutions that people have, like the Microsoft Power Apps type situation. I think AI will make those types of solutions more prominent and better because right now they're kind of limited in what they can do. But once you start adding in some AI for people who may not know how to dive deep into the code, it's going to give them a lot of options where they might be able to start solving problems that they otherwise wouldn't be able to. So I think that area will get bigger and will probably in some ways replace what otherwise would have been a custom developer solution, right? Where you needed a dev. Now you've got these low code people that can solve more problems. So maybe you don't need custom software in all those cases. But consistently, it's always been the developers who understand what's kind of going on under the covers tend to become the better developers. And I don't think AI is going to change that. It's going to be the developers who understand what's going on, who can better evaluate like the output that they're getting from the AI, the ones who understand how the underlying code works, who can evaluate the AI's output and go, yeah, no, like that may compile, that may run and do the thing, but no, we are not doing that. That's a horrible idea, right? Those types of things, I think, I don't see those types of good developers going away. And then people always talk about the supply chain effectively of developers, right? Like if AI replaces all our junior developers, where are we going to get senior developers, right? Like there has to be a pipeline up. And I think AI is likely to accelerate the learning. Like I've noticed even in my usage of it, it makes it much easier for me to quickly learn things or get through problems. Like it's fairly good at that. Like even if especially if when I don't know like the right things to put into the Googles to get the right information that I need, oftentimes going back and forth with Copilot, I will start to figure out the right terminology and the things that I need to put into Google to get to the right thing. Even if it doesn't solve my problem, it can oftentimes hint me in the right direction, and it can oftentimes help me learn new concepts, especially because most of the time it's like memorize the docs. So it's usually pretty good where it's like, okay, I don't want to waste my time sifting through docs to find this. Just give me the answer from the docs. Like I'm going to go Google this anyway. Save me some time, and it's really good for that. So I think it will not kill off juniors, but I think it will potentially accelerate how fast people move through that junior stage because I think it has the potential of improving learning when used well as a tool. Right? Like it's just a tool. It's not anything more than a very advanced tool that people are leveraging. Right? People are getting very excited about these AI experiences that people are building. Like Microsoft is building out like all these Copilot type experiences, and like it's important to remember these Copilot experiences that Microsoft is building out are not one AI engine. Like there's a lot of layers and complexity in these systems, and there's a lot of different pieces and different AI agents working together. So this is not just one, oh, you have an AI thing, and now poof, look, you can generate this. Um, yeah, and AI putting you down the wrong path. Like that is a consistent problem in that often happens quite a bit. And so like I'm very happy to use Copilot in my code because oftentimes, especially for refactors and little things, like it'll gen stuff and do an awesome job. Like especially repetitive, boring things, I'm very happy to do it. When it gets complicated or things where I know it's important, I'm very likely to not use it because I don't trust it to be accurate, or I'll let it gen and then I'll go back over it with a fine tooth comb because it's like, how do I know that you didn't screw this up? Right? Same as what I would do is if I hand a real important task to a junior developer, I'm probably going to scrutinize it harder, scrutinize the AI just as hard. So I think that like I think it'll fundamentally change how things work. I think the low code, no code solutions are likely to expand quite a bit. And potentially, I think that's where the loss of developer jobs may go, right? It's not necessarily going to be AI taking the jobs, but it's AI enhancing the low code, no code app builders. so that they can move into a bigger space and solve more problems that they otherwise couldn't, where previously people would have to hire a developer to do. I think those jobs may go away. But they aren't, like, yes, they're going away from a developer, but it's not like the problem goes away, right? The company still has the problem that those apps are solving. I just think that those those kind of low code no code solution people will start eating some of those easier problems or more simplistic type software. And I think that's potentially where there might be jobs lost, but I don't see software engineering going away. Like, I'm not worried about it replacing me during my lifetime. So, and if my kids told me, "Hey, I want to go into computer science," I would not discourage them from it. I think it's still a very viable thing. I think it's different, right? Like when I went to school, it was, C and C++, and now it's a little more, oh, well, let's teach Python and C sharp and some of these other things. Like, okay, right? Like the field advances, and I think it's just going to kind of push that abstraction up a little higher, but I don't think it goes away. Changes, sure. I think that's probably a given at this point, but I don't think it's. Some people are doom and gloom and freaking out, and I'm not that concerned. Because people who can solve problems and build solutions, there is a high demand. So I think that's the key thing I would tell people is focus on learning how to build solutions, and then it doesn't matter whether it's with C sharp, with AI, right? If you can build a quality solution that stands up, that's at the end of the day, that's what people want. They want software to solve a problem for them. And software engineers are just generally the people tasked with doing that. But again, Power Apps people may start doing it too. Start doing a lot more. Because I have felt that those low code solutions or like the app generators or quick go from idea to prototypes things, like they generally don't do a great job. And now I think that they actually might be able to start doing a better job. Oh, Hars, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Hopefully, I'm not making everything too doom and gloom for you. Okay, so that should go there. And then this. No, don't do that. Let's see. So this I want to be. Still want this to be Web Application Factory. Why are you unhappy? Do you not appropriately derive? Oh, you don't. I need you to be Velopack Web Application Factory. That way, okay, so I am going to have to convert you over as soon as I change the base class. Okay, so but we'll get through that in a moment. Let's see. This does not contain access to this. Why not? It's protected. Am I an idiot? Isn't that what protected means? What's your problem? Let's see. Oh, it's because I haven't. Got it. Okay, I've got conflicting. I need to deal with this before that's going to work. Okay, okay. Maybe I should address that first. Can't decide. Probably worth addressing this first. Okay, so this exists in the base class. Kill it. This exists in the base class. This exists in the base class. And with all the loggers, those exist. Configure service callbacks exist. Same with that. Same with that. None of this needs to change. Configure client is currently the same in the base class, though I'm realizing, no, that's probably fine. Okay, this is where things are going to need to change a little bit. Because I want these things to get added because this guy is referencing extra stuff that the other one isn't. So let me look at what collapsed those two guys up. Okay, so what got saved down here? So I don't need you, right? I am going to need you. Let's see. File upload message queue needs to stay. Storage needs to stay. Stripe service can go. Logger can go. DB context can go. Registering self. Oh, this is interesting. This is interesting. So these two lines here are not equal. This is what's weird. So in C#, this add singleton, you'll note here on the left. Oh, see if I can crap that again. Right? So you'll note this is add singleton web application factory, non-generic, right? This is the fully derived class type, right? But if I go here, right, this one is Velopack web application factory T program. And this is very subtle because the lines look identical. And when I copied from A to B and redid the class, I didn't have to touch this code, but it infers the generic parameter because of the this. And this is not the same on the left and the right. And I think we're going to kill this one. Because I don't think there is anything that is trying to resolve from... Honestly, I don't know why I need either of them. So we're going to whack them both because I'm curious what is trying to resolve the factory, the web application factory itself. It's probably some extension I've built, but I can't remember what past Kevin did, and past Kevin didn't leave me a note, so we're going to delete it. Let's see. Authentication handler is done. Authorization is done. Email client mock is not, so we need to keep this, and the for each. And I think what I'm going to do is I am going to inject this callback above the call to base because most of these things were registered first, but it shouldn't make any difference. These are, well, shoot, hold on. This is calling base. So or it's calling replace. So I need the base registration to occur first. Oy vey. My Karnak is making it hard to read. Okay, that goes like that. Authenticate async. I don't think we need any of this. All the authentication stuff remains the same for now. We might have to do something funky when we get around to dealing with the HMAC stuff, but we haven't gotten there yet. We're going to get rid of this, get rid of this, get rid of user context. Ooh. 8 minutes until a very, very special announcement. Here's a hint. It's midnight for me. Okay. That goes like that. That goes like that. That goes like that. Good, good, good. Okay, close that. And if I go back here, now, what is your problem here? Velopack web application program does not contain a factory. Sure post requires, oh, this is the authentication. Oh, these are the extension methods I wrote. That's why I can't find them. So up here, I have these guys. I think we want to move this down as well into service testing. So these are extension methods that I can feed URLs to, and they're just there to make sure that I don't botch my authentication stuff, right? If something requires it to be an authenticated call, it intentionally makes a call without it being authenticated, and just asserts that it gets an unauthorized. It's no more fancy than that. So if we move this down here, change namespace to match folder structure, and then this is going to be Velopack T program. And then the key part here is we're going to put the generic parameter on the method. Let's see. Simply for one reason. because the same thing that caused the confusion with the registration of the this parameter, we can abuse that same thing so that we don't have to go and update all of the code. So if I do this T program, and so we'll let the compiler infer. I'm gonna just do this. That makes me feel better. Let's see. Where T program is class. Oh, I didn't add it. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, so that gets me to there. That gets me to there. We are going to do this maneuver. Actually, I think we're just going to do this maneuver. And I'm going to go boop, boop. Important to make the sound. That's very important. And then we're going to grab T program. There, there, there. Right? And then we're going to grab the where clause. And we're just going to slap it in. Fix my indentation that I clearly botched somewhere along the line. Clean that up, clean that up, clean that up. Okay, so all of those now work. Now what that means is this guy now magically compiles. And so he has now inferred the appropriate generic parameter. I don't have to do so. And so all of this code that I've written previously just works. Right, that's the game plan. Okay, so this guy now exists and works great. So now it means that each time I spin one of these new test classes, which I'm going to need to do one for the partner side in addition to the admin side, so I'm going to have to do this another time. So part of why I'm refactoring this is because I know I am going to get hosed by this later. Okay, so the change here is to bring in program on all of these. And what is your problem? Oh, interesting. How did I handle it here? I didn't. Factory does not have a fixture source. If it comes from a collection definition, assume the definition is the same assembly as the test. Oh. Am I going to need to do... I don't know if I can class fixture this. I don't think I can class fixture this in because of that limitation. Bothers me because I know I'm going to have to change this when I switch to T unit because it handles this slightly differently. But now that fixes that. So secretly, what I actually want to copy is that whole line. Right? And so then when I go here, I actually just want to paste that, and then it fixes it. Because at the end of the day, XUnit uses class fixture to say, here's how you inject the constructor parameter. And because the base class is abstract, it's not going to be creating that class. It's going to be creating one of these instead. Okay, so let's close this, close this, close this. My F8, paste. Oh, that's good. So hopefully it's as simple as just F8, paste, F8, paste, F8, paste. May come back to that public surface API test here in a bit because that's the first test we want to have. Let's see, this one already had it, so that's weird. Feels like I made a mistake somewhere along the line and didn't clean something up, but that's okay. Okay, compile. And once we get this guy rolling, why is this one not using... I'm just looking, because this is the user stuff, I'm wondering, is there a reason I did this one differently? I don't think there is. Okay. I think I just failed to update one of these. We'll get this guy updated to match, because I don't know why any of these things would be different. And then all of that continues to work. In reality, this is actually a beautiful use case for doing primary constructors, but let's see. Have you found in TUnit that you can't right-click in VS and run debug a test? Oh, just like the menus right here? I have not seen that, JC. If you're running into that, so I don't know if that would be a TUnit issue as much as that might be a, what is it called? The new testing framework. So when I did my stream about upgrading to TUnit, there were subtly the two things that we upgraded, because it's the Microsoft. I don't remember what sucker's called. Testing framework. Microsoft Testing Platform, MTP. That's the acronym I'm looking for. I suspect it's probably actually MTP that's breaking, because that's where the integration is. XUnit still works, but which XUnit? Is it XUnit 3 with MTP or not? Because I would imagine it's probably an MTP failure versus a TUnit one. So, and I realize that this is probably subtle. So, TUnit is only built for Microsoft Testing Platform. It won't run elsewhere. So if you're on TUnit, you have to be running the new Microsoft Testing Platform. If you run XUnit, if you're on XUnit v2, you are on the old VS Test runner. And if you are on XUnit v3, you could be on either, depending on which NuGet package you have referenced. If that isn't confusing enough for you. And where is they have a picture on one of these pages. They have a picture showing the, is it here? One of these things, they have a nice picture showing the difference between, where is it? I remember seeing it at one point. They have a nice picture showing the difference in architecture between the Microsoft testing platform and VS Test. Because VS Test is the old system that they have where when you right click and run, it's got the out of band test runner. It has to load the assemblies and do all of this stuff. Whereas MTP, it's you'll note the compilation output of your test project just becomes a standard exe. So it's nothing fancy. It's literally just an it's just a standalone executable, because you can actually take the compilation from an MTP project and just go run that exe somewhere. That's it, right? It's no more, like, it's that simple. No more needing to run .NET test, blah blah blah. But there's still that integration back and forth, and so if it's falling over, I'm tempted to blame it here. If it's not working, the other thing to be aware of is, where is it? Is it up here? Where's the submit feedback button? Oh, here. This little guy up here. Definitely send a feedback report on something like that, because it's the new thing with all of the changes and whatnot. If there's going to be bugs, I'm real keen on blaming the new thing. It could still be a TUnit issue, but because you're talking about like the right-click interaction in Visual Studio, I suspect it's more likely Visual Studio's integration with MTP and less the actual testing framework inside of MTP. Is my thinking. That would be my gut reaction. Okay, so that compiled. Okay, so now let's go back here. Test, run all tests. Let's rerun. I want to make sure that I haven't broken anything. I should probably be making commits as I go, honestly. Because not making commits is probably going to hose me. Because at some point I'm going to need to go backwards and figure out what the heck I did. And I've been running all night with 0 commits. See, I broke something. I broke something. Something very fundamental, apparently. Okay, let's just pick on... I'm sorry. Not what I wanted. Clean that up. What was the actual failure? So response status does not indicate success. Well, what a shock. Right? 500 internal server error. So that's not useful. We're going to debug the test. And we're going to go with Spelunking and see where the heck this thing fell over. So I imagine it's going to be somewhere in the DI registration. Let's see. Jump out, jump in, jump out, jump in. Okay, you are not being helpful. Okay, not a helpful response. Let me just look at, are all of these going to be similar? Okay, unable to resolve service lookup. See, there we go. Look at that. So it is that resolve this. What did I write that leverages it? Because I assume I had to write something that leveraged it. But it is attempting to resolve the web application factory when attempting to activate. Oh, the test auth handler is what's doing it. Oh, okay. Okay. Got it. This is actually probably a worthwhile thing to slow down and explain, right? So this is, I saw a tweet the other day that said, if you can explain dependency injection to people, you're ahead of 90% of developers. It's like, I don't know if that's accurate, but it definitely is one of the bars that I look at with people. So the key thing here, unable to resolve service for type. The moment you see this message, this is a dependency injection issue, right? You either haven't registered something or the service type that you're trying to look up is different than what you registered as or something, right? Effectively, it's, I tried to get a thingy and I couldn't find the thingy. So I went boom, right? That's what the exception means. But, so it's attempting to resolve service for type. And so this is the type that it's looking for. And you'll note this is our Velopack web application factory. And the backtick 1 here, this is the way that generic types get two-stringed, right? So if you see backtick 1, what you know is that is a generic type with an arity of 1, so a single generic parameter. And in this case, because it's a closed generic, meaning we know the value of the t that's inside of it, we know that it's programmed. So we know it's looking to resolve over a closed type, right? While attempting to activate. So while attempting to activate means this other thingy has a dependency on this thingy, right? So when trying to call the constructor for this other type, that constructor likely has a parameter that points at this, right? So if we go look at web application factory, and you'll note backtick 1, so the generic class, and then the plus means nested class. So inside of Velopack web application factory here, there is a class called test auth handler. It inherits the generic type program from there. So what we need to do is we need to go look at this guy. Boom. So you'll note there he is, inner class, and there is the registration. So this is the constructor parameter that it was looking for. And so my comment before about I didn't know which one of those services registered this was the appropriate one to do. In this case, because I know that this is the guy looking for him, this test auth handler, I know that the generic one with T program, not the derived class, is the one that I want to register as. So I come down here and we're going to go services, add singleton. this, and present Kevin knows that he should leave a comment so that future Kevin doesn't delete this one like he did last time. Let's see here. Where did it go? Where did it go? This is used by test auth handler to find the parent factory. There we go. See? Simple as that. Now we're going to just run one of these tests to make sure that I fixed the obvious problem before we send them all. Okay, that worked. So now we run the whole suite. Make sure that everything else is working. But now that the one worked, it's probably that most of these are going to flare out. Okay, so we still have something that's broken. Click on one of these ones to take a look at. So we always want to go from working to working. So let's see, what is broken here? It's weird that there's so many. Status code not found. Oh, I'm sorry. Expected not found, but found internal server error. Ah, okay. So this is same problem, different symptoms. Oh, even better. Even better, right? So this is now attempting to use the derived web application factory while attempting to activate, and in this case, it's the simulator local file storage manager, right? So when I said, I don't see why we need this, I'm going to delete both. What I should have said is, this is clearly needed, and I should keep both. So, you know, not my finest moment. Let's jump here and then go up to the top. Let's see, and I want to go to Web Application Factory, and in here, we will do services, register, add singleton, this. This is needed by the local file storage manager. Yeah, that's probably good enough. Yep, and at some point, if this guy moves into the core, we'll be able to delete it. But for now, while he lives up here, it needs to exist. So we will come back up here. We will rerun this one guy, make sure he passes, and then if he does, we send it all. Oh, still failed. No, that one passed. Sorry. Top level node still showed failed because it contained failed test. Okay, we are working. So we're going to make a commit really quick. And I am going to hit the auto code button or the auto comment button. Validation off logic to service core. Service core project promotes reuse. You missed most of it. Added implementation to admin API service. Okay, so there goes that. I'm gonna push that while I'm here. Okay, so that gets me there. That gets me there. Oh, we passed midnight. So it is now my birthday. Yay! Okay, moving right along. So we have that. We have that. These are now in here. Now we're back to the public service. So the whole test that we wanted to write. Thank you, JC. I appreciate it. I am now old. Let's see here. I want that. And this now just works. 40? Oh, not quite. You're a couple high. I'm not that old yet. Oh, it sounds so bad to say. It sounds so absolutely horrible to say. Not old then. I will say it's felt weird in my day job. I keep getting surrounded by people that are younger and younger than me, and I'm like, Oh, when did I become the old guy in the room? Like, I'm not used to being the old guy in the room. This feels wrong. Was there a file in here already? Oh, look at that. It had generated. Huh. Okay, so we're going to just copy this over. Because for now, this is going to be the public-facing API surface, and this should now pass. Bill's birthday. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Yay, test pass. Okay, so for anybody confused about this, so this is using Verify, which is known as snapshot testing. Trying to remember, there's other names that snapshot testing goes by. But effectively, anything you can stringify, you can snapshot test. And so in this case, I am kind of stringifying it, but I'm just grabbing my open API spec. So you'll note there's this verify.txt, and this just contains the working one here. So if there are any changes to my open API spec, this test fails. So it means that if there is going to be any breaking API changes, right, because this Swagger doc is generated from my public-facing stuff. So if I add a property or I delete something or I rename something, this test breaks. And I have to explicitly go in, and usually you copy the received into the verified file, but it shows you the diff, and so you can very easily see the difference between received, verified, and go, well, yep, that change is expected, copied in. So for now, because this isn't a shipped API, I'm just always copying it in, right? Because right now we expect massive changes. Okay, so that much there is in. We have our first test. Huzzah. Now we've got that much going. Now what we want to do is we actually want to test the whole point of doing this is so that we can actually test our partner API. Like that, our admin for the partner API. All of this just to get set up and going. But I think the refactor is going to be good because I'm going to have to do this again, and now I feel like I've got this service core testing is going to make me feel a lot better. So I think it'll be better, right? And so I do a v1 because I'm not actually testing the extension methods. I'm functionally testing these guys, and I'm just going to copy this guy up here, paste, and then we're going to go beat them into submission. So step 1, fix namespace, and get rid of all this garbage. Okay, and so because we're named Web Application Factory and Program in both places, that all just works. Huzzah. Okay, and now we do this type of stuff. So create API key. So we are actually going to be testing well, I guess we start at the top, right? So let's, we're going to do these in a different order. And we're going to bring this guy up. So list, I think we're going to go partner, list partners. And we're going to do that. Requires authenticated user, right? And so this is the key thing here, right? So by doing it like this, I am forcing myself to make sure that the URLs work the way I expect, right? I expect that in order to hit the list endpoint, I have to do this, right? If this doesn't work, nothing matters. So these types of tests validate like my DI setup, right? Like admittedly, the tests that failed previously were because part of my DI, I'm swapping out the real things for fake things. Because at some point I got to put, guardrails around what I'm testing versus what's real. But this now validates that. Okay, we're going to grab this one. We don't need these 2 list calls because those don't matter. We're going to bring this one up. So this is going to be list partners. Let's see, returns list of partners. Returns list of all partners. I think that should be the way we do this. And I've already set up my web application factory to be able to do some dirty tricks. Like I can stand up a lot of data real quick. So demonstration. First thing we're going to do is I have my factory create method? Yeah. So I've got this factory class that I've built, and its purpose in life is to generate real-ish looking data, right? It doesn't need to be perfect, but it needs to be real enough. So public static partner coupon code, create partner what am I do? Oh, you. I'm like, something looks wrong. Create partner coupon code. Great. Copilot, do your thing. All right. And so we're going to go here. Let's see. And I think on a lot of these, let's see, name is going to be partner hyphen GUID. Key will be auto-generated. We are going to need to move that at some point. API key. And then I think that's, Stripe coupon code. And then I think this is actually, I have things for generating Stripe IDs. Stripe Data Factory. Great customer ID. So I believe, yeah, because Stripe has a way that they generate IDs. So I use this to get me create coupon ID. And I believe it's DUP. I believe their prefix. Izzy, welcome away for son's 7th birthday party. Wish him happy birthday. If his birthday is the 18th, we share a birthday. And so, huzzah. He's just significantly younger than I am. Okay, so we're going to go with, let's see, Stripe Data Factory, create coupon ID. And now I've got something that looks real enough. All right, so now we can leverage this, and we're going to come back over to Matthias. I haven't renamed this. So we need to change this partner promotion code. Let's rename this to be partner promotion code endpoint tests. Yep, there we go. Okay, so that fixes that. And now list partners. So I need to generate a bunch of var coupon 1. And we'll just use explicit type. And partner coupon codes. Coupon 1. Then we're going to do, I think 3 is probably sufficient. We'll do, let's see, 2, 2, 3, 3. Get rid of all these. Don't need all this. Don't need all this. Don't need all this. Get rid of all that. Great. I guess we can actually just do add range and do this maneuver. I don't know if this is better or worse. One. And we don't need these lines. Okay. All right, 1 second. I need to check. I'm getting pinged with messages. Okay. Sorry, I am birding on Steam at the moment. So let's, but I want to get this list partners one done. So this guy here is expected to return one of these guys. We expect this. We expect the endpoint to look like this. We're going to do this. And then I think I am tempted to pull these guys out so that I have them. And then partner promotion codes. And I think we're going to do an order by name, right? Because I don't want to assume, like, any ordering is perfectly fine. And so I'm going to have to convert all of those from data objects into endpoint objects. Let's back up because there's only a handful of properties on these. Should be equivalent to, let's on one dot name, coupon 2 dot name, coupon 3 dot name. Oh, this is going to be an awkward one to do. Are ordered coupons. There we go. So we'll do that. We'll get them in a consistent order. Var received coupons. Do that. And now what we can do is, yeah, you freaking show off Copilot. No, we are not doing that. That is not what we are doing. Received coupons. Select x.name should be equivalent to ordered coupons. Select x.name. All right, so that should get me to there. And then we're going to just rinse repeat this for the other ones, right? Because we don't expect everything to be included. We expect IDs to match. Because now that we've got them in a stable sort, and then we expect the Stripe coupon ID to match as well. And I know there's a cleaner way to do this with strictly speaking, should ordered coupons be in a range? Probably. There's a weird judgment call when it's only being used as to make assertions. But you are correct that the data being populated into it is all up here, so it makes slightly more sense for them to be in this area. So yeah, I would say yes. Okay, and then I am going to whack all of these guys out of here for now, because I want to see this thing work. This is wrong. I mean, it's going to work, but to do... So that failed. Yeah, like I think there's a judgment call, JC, depending on, like, if the data is only used to make assertions, I don't mind, like, I kind of equate it functionally to this, but you are right that technically the ordering happens up here. What did I break? No handler is registered for scheme HMAC. Oh, see, yeah, this is where, okay, so I'm gonna have to fix that. I'm gonna need to set up, because this is not setting up on HMAC. It is setting up its own schema, and I am going to need to fix that. Okay. That is something I am going to have to change, but let's get this committed. And then I may, yeah, That's good enough. Send it. I may need to call it because A, it's my birthday and I can sleep if I want to, and B, it's after midnight and I should probably sleep because I want to. Uh, but with that, thank you everyone for coming and hanging out. JC, I appreciated the keen eye tonight of being able to snipe my bugs from tiny font out of the middle of nowhere. So that was awesome. As always, everybody, thank you for coming in and hanging out. Happy coding. See everyone next time.